Christianity was hijacked.
By who?
How deep do you want me to go, brother?
This will blow your socks off. 1967, this is what's in the Scofield Bible. For a nation to commit the sin of anti-Semitism brings inevitable judgment.
The word of God is being used to justify murder. I don't know why as Christians we don't hold more compassion for death, especially of those that aren't Christian. That should hurt us the heaviest. The reason they don't show us is because if they showed us, we'd care. We connect with seeing it. And when we don't see it, we don't care.
Why does so much American evangelical energy toward Israel seem to take the form of tourism, political advocacy, and national support rather than the normal missionary language we use for almost any other nation?
Before we jump into today's episode, we want to take a quick second to frame the conversation. Today we're talking about Christian Zionism, and we know that can be a controversial topic. But we also think it's something Christians should be able to talk about and inquire freely. For me, this topic has been particularly heavy on my heart because of all the suffering we've been seeing in the world recently. When I see children displaced, starved, killed, and families destroyed, my faith doesn't just let me look away. And I've been wrestling with the same question I think a lot of Christians wrestle with. How do we know where to put our support, and how do we make sure our convictions are shaped by Scripture?
And for me, I really just want to understand how we got here and why. I want to fully understand why this topic feels so taboo in evangelical spaces. I also want to learn how Christians should think through this faithfully.
And just to be clear, this conversation is not about blaming or attacking any one group of people. Hate is evil, and hating someone because of who they are or how they were born is completely incompatible with following Jesus. But at the same time, Christians should be able to ask honest questions about Zionism, Christian Zionism, and the actions of a foreign government.
That's why we wanted to talk with Zach Foust. Zach is a Delaware local, a longtime realtor, and now a major online voice covering economics, power, corruption, and the ongoing conflict in the Middle East. He's also made content specifically on Christian Zionism, so we wanted to tackle this issue together with him.
For clarity, we do not see this as a first-rank issue of faith, and we acknowledge that faithful Christians can land on either side of this issue. Our only ask is that you listen with an open mind and recognize our heart in this. We're on a journey, we're trying our best to learn, to grow in our faith, and we want to make sure our convictions are always submitted to Christ. Thank you so much for listening. Now let's jump into today's episode.
You're living on like a farm vibe? Or what?
I got a little 0.6 acres in a kind of residentially area, but got enough room, gardens, 13 chickens.
Hey,
Oh
my
see,
God.
that's
Bro, you know,
Build-
Delaware's
building a
got
flock.
way more chickens than people.
really
Wait.
250x.
250x chickens.
There will be over 1 billion chickens that go through Delaware every
That's
single
such
year.
a crazy fact.
We got, yeah.
That's the wildest thing we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, bro, the amount of chickens.
But like I said, I'm ready when you guys are. Whatever.
Okay. If you guys are cool, open with a little prayer
Please.
and we hop in. Yeah, everything's rolling. We're good? All right, sweet. Father God, thank you so much for allowing us to be here. Thank you so much to Zach for pulling up and blessing us with his time. We just pray that with this conversation, you allow us to be humble and to have grace and to listen to each other and just protect us from pride and point scoring that's so common on the internet. And I just pray that you would help the listeners to recognize our heart and open minds and hearts to this conversation. But ultimately, that Christ would be honored. And it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Zach,
Great work.
welcome to the pod.
Thank you, friend.
Let's go, dude.
Thank you, friend. One of the most well-prepared for pods I've ever been on.
I felt
This
so
is
bad.
awesome.
Yeah,
no,
this
this is awesome. I'm not bad. I love it. I love it.
Before we jump into all the craziness, I would love to just kind of hear your story. I don't even really know your full story of how you went from kind of being a realtor to what you're doing now, just so the audience can kind of get a vibe of what your story is.
Right.
Yeah.
I ask myself that question often still. It's simpler than I make it out to be. So I had gotten into real estate kind of on accident, kind of got bullied into it. I was a prison officer. Before that, I was in the military, did a year in Afghanistan, had initially joined the National Guard, hoping for a little part-time go to college gig, but ended up being 4.5 years full-time and I got kicked out of college. So I was just kind of under contract for the government. So maybe that's where the distaste started. But from there, like I said, I was working in the correctional facility and then at church, a woman by the name of Rosalia Martinez, good friend, had been for years, was my principal when I went to that private Christian school in elementary school. Shout her out. Had a great real estate team. And she saw me in church. I was like, "You're working in the prison, aren't you?" I'm like, "Yep." She's like, "You should be a real estate agent." Wow. And I was like, that sounds stupid. And I said no 3 different times until she had called me one night. It was 10:30 at night. I was about to head in the night shift. She knew my shifts. She's smart. And late at night called me, said, hey, there's a spot open for the real estate school tomorrow. Do you want me to sign you up for it? And I talked to my wife, signed up for it, did the thing. Ended up like, it was my thing. Like I didn't really have a thing up until that point. It was always sports. And then after high school and college, it was like, okay, well, guess I need to find a different thing. Because this doesn't make money. And that's like what everything is based around nowadays. So it went from, okay, this is going really well. I won Rookie of the Year that first year, would end up selling over the course of the next 8, about 1,000 homes. Built a team. We expanded that team to an incredible amount of agents to still operate at a really, really high level throughout the state. We gave them that launching pad for it. I'm very grateful for that, but we shrunk our team down. Some naturally grew out. Some we kind of like pushed out because we kind of saw the market tightening. And as we're sitting right now, that decision was made back in 2023, 22. And now we're kind of sitting in a market where I'm like, I'm really glad I made that decision. But at the same time, we still will sell over 100 homes a year. We've got a great team. My pops works with me. And yeah, it's awesome.
So you're still doing that?
Yeah, Carla, Austin, John, people who make our content, like Sean, he's been with us for over 7 years. Came right out of high school with us. Love him. Joe just got onto the team. And yeah, we still orchestrate that and run it. And we try to give the best level service as realtors, like it's actually valuable. Not like this stupid commission structure type go in the MLS BS. But I started losing the luster for it. And I was kind of lost when I kind of got to my peak. Because like I was getting invited out to like conferences in like Dallas and New York. Like Forbes wanted to talk to me and Realtor.com. And this guy named Tom Ferry, who's like a big real estate name. Your mom would know who Tom Ferry is inviting me into his like condo in Dallas. And like I'm getting to go walk through millionaires' homes at parties. I'm speaking on stages. I'm going on these big podcasts. I'm coaching now. I'm making like $400,000 a year coaching, just telling people how to do it. Yeah, I didn't even stop to think of how it all started to happen. And then I got there and I was like, okay, what's next? And they're like, this is it. Keep going. And it just kind of sat with me heavier one day than it did others. I was like, no, just keep going. I was like, why? And I think that's just kind of the moment where, like we were talking about Batman earlier, like he's the billionaire that turned around. I think that was kind of like my turnaround moment of, it's like, you know, I get this. What about everybody else? And I started to, it happened at a real estate mixer, which suck. Those real estate happy hours are egregious social situations. Everyone's in there for their own. It's awkward. But I'm in this little circle, and rates are a big deal at this point because it's like beginning mid 2023. So I'm kind of in this mode already where I'm like, just here. So I'm here for the conversation community, and someone brings up the Federal Reserve isn't federal. I was like, no, the heck it's not. I'm like, and I didn't say that. This is a Christian podcast. I gotta keep it chill. I gotta keep it chill. Love y'all. I curse every now and then though. I was like, no, it's not. Turns out it is. And I was like, okay. Well, let me look into the other things. I'm like, oh, they don't hold reserves either. They got rid of that in March in 2020. I was like, oh, they're not federal or reserve. What is going on? And then I go look into their founding. And I look into the people who funded the founding. And then I get deeper and deeper. I'm like, whoa. And I just started pulling. And here I am. That's pretty much it. It just started with a question, and I've just been asking questions ever since.
And when did the content start?
About 8 months after the first question, I took a full break. I was making strictly like make sales content for real estate.
Oh, you were making content. You were making realtor content. So you already had an audience there.
Oh, I'd been doing podcasts and making content. I got the game of, I was on TikTok in like early 2019. I was an early bird.
Bro's dial.
Got the worm. So, and I didn't know what I was doing, but like that skill set, it got me better at communicating, which pivotal in this day and age. So I'm blessed for it, but ultimately, like I felt like I was kind of restarting my journey about like 2020, beginning of 2024, really, where I just want to kind of speak to, hey, the housing market. I'm looking around, and my boys I used to be getting homes for real easily, like a job at Wawa. Now I'm like telling people that are dual attorneys that they're gonna have to like do this and that to get ready. I'm like, what the heck changed? Like I kind of got a first row seat to that. And so I just started like wondering like, okay, what about everybody else? Like I get you can own a home. I get owning a home is an amazing investment. It's a great asset to hold. And if you want to make money in an ever-inflating debt-based economy, hold an asset. What about the people that literally can't? What about this terrible college job market right now? What about AI is slowly eating parts of the white collar job market? What about the labor force decline and the marriage decline and the homeownership decline of people under 30? And what about them? Like I made it, but I climbed like what felt like a 6-foot ladder to get over a 15-foot wall. It took a little extra. Like the boomers got to climb, no offense, the 6-foot ladder to get over the 8-foot wall. Now it's like a 35-foot wall, and we're still given the same as 6-foot ladder. I felt like I was kind of out of advice. And so I just started asking more questions, and now I just kind of tell people what I find.
Wow. Just asking questions on your socials and that people...
No, asking questions of myself.
Okay.
Much deeper than that. A lot of lonely time, a lot of reflecting with very close friends and family, not just on like this, but also like me. Like, okay, what would I wake up and do tomorrow if money didn't exist? What would I do? And I remember there was a time in life I didn't have an answer to that question. And it felt really dreary. And then you start learning about the system and it feels even more dreary. So I kind of got lost in that spot where I'm like, if I'm not helping inform others of what's going on, it's almost like I'm doing myself a disservice for learning it. Kind of deal. And it had everything to do with myself at first. Like I needed to break my ego. I kind of realized, great biblical teacher, his name is Myron Golden, who said that oftentimes we identify ourselves as our my identity, something that we have set for ourselves, but aren't truly are. What am I saying? And I forget the other word that he used for it. The lie identity is what 80%, if not 90% of our world is operating on. And that's the identity that we're given by others around us. The people we grew up around, the school we grew up in, the classmates we had, the coworkers, the college buddies we still remember, like our parents, our friends. Like imagine pre-90s, pre-internet, like everybody can remember, like you were the 100 or so people you'd come in contact with closely for 20 years. That's it. And the traumas and the lies and the good stuff and the great stuff, all that culminates into who you are. But when did you decide who you were? It sounds more poetic than it is, but
yeah, always cooking, bro.
It sounds more poetic than it is. It was like that. I was like, I don't have an identity. It's always been about me, and it's always been to like kind of validate an old me that didn't feel validated, right? I talked earlier about sports. Like sports is a big part of my life, and a lot of that, what I didn't realize then, as I do as an adult, but being good at sports, and the reason I was so driven toward it is because being good at it validated me in something and made other people look, and I needed that. And we don't have to get into all that earlier than that. But yeah, it's just questions, and there's a lot to question nowadays. This isn't about me. Appreciate the question.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. And then with specifically kind of, you talked about this off air a little bit about spirituality. What's your journey to faith, or kind of what's your relationship with Christianity and Jesus?
Grew up in a Christian home, grew up in the church, youth leader, Wednesday nights, Friday nights, like you name it. The whole shebang. The camps over the summer, FCA, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Like I was helping co-sponsor with a guy named Randy Chambers, Nick Richmond, who was in the area. And I was in it. And then I was so in it that I'd realized that like pretty much by like 2021, I was in it to make other people be cool with the fact that I was in it. Like my friend group was that, my family was that, everybody I operated with was that. And I got to the point, I was like, yo, I believe this because y'all believe this. This is crazy. And I just got into this rebellious mode. And the only thing I had to revert back to was that lie identity. You lose your identity, you go to the lie identity. And so it's been a full circle getting back to where I'm at today. I remember the morning, 2023, I had taken off a week from all work and I was just dedicating it to prayer and silence. And I just literally the epitome of just staring at a wall. I wanted to reset my brain. I was tired of it all. And tired of it all in the sense of I felt I had no control. I was impulsive. Every desire I was giving into, I didn't feel like I had discipline. And again, it all kind of felt weirdly capitalistically nihilist, if that makes sense. Like I was in this kind of mind state. I was getting into a meditation, and I just remember bawling my eyes out because I kind of felt the click in the moment of, oh, this is what giving your life to God is. It's not having any earthly desire attached to your ego anymore. It's giving it up. I always thought it was something you ran for and grabbed after. It's literally laying back and surrendering. And that was the hardest, and I'm still doing that. Surrender is my mantra. And that's part of the reason I make the content. Is like, I'm not getting anything from it. I feel like that's part of my surrendering of the information I've come to know. It's also my background check too, because sometimes if I say something cockamamie, someone's like, that's not true. I'm like, I can research that, great.
Wow.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, though.
That's powerful. So you grew up in a Christian home and then kind of like, you realized, wow.
Grew up in an American Christian society, a traditional American Christian society that I had questions about. No one seemed to want to give straight up answers on, and I wasn't really, and I won't get into the specifics of it, but there were just some things I didn't really rock too heavily with, and it didn't seem to make too much sense. And then you actually read, like you read through Matthew. Like there's people that give their lifetime away to just study Matthew. It's incredible the teachings, and incredible the way he would tie ideologies together and question authority with literal questions, and the way he fought for the minority and fought for the immigrant and fought for the brown-skinned. I mean, heck, he was a homeless, brown-skinned, long-haired man in some kind of tunic. He wasn't walking around with his long, flowy, wavy hair like he just got a perm, like with the purple on him. That was expensive. Like they didn't have none. He's a nomad. And his longest conversations in the Bible with a woman. Who discovered him when he was crucified afterwards in the tomb? It was empty. The women. Who stayed for the crucifixion while all the other male disciples fled? The women. But yet this society we've created seems polar opposite to what I read in Matthew. And that's what really brought me back, in a way.
Was reading it for yourself, diving into it. What did this mean in Aramaic? What's the historical context of this? What is this actually linking back to? And you find out, okay, some of this just what I've been taught, just, a lot of it's based, but then there's these things that kind of got thrown in. And then you find out, oh, this happened in the 40s. Oh, this thing was invented in the 1890s. It's interesting. This is a 2,000-year-old man I'm reading about. Why did this all pop up so recently? And that's, now where I'm at today. But we're going to get into this. So I don't want to spend too much time just diving around it, beating around the old bush. Yeah.
Yeah, just like now kind of transitioning towards the main topic of Zionism and all that good stuff. How did you get
all that good stuff? Yeah, baby.
How did you get pulled into Christian Zionism and making content about that? And I know it's not your main stuff, but you've definitely been vocal about it.
The economy.
Okay.
Right? The economy. I'm a housing guy. My initial depths were in the economy, the banking system, reading through the Gilded Age and the barons and the House of Morgans, and getting in depth with how it was created and founded, and then getting into the legislation around it. Things like Glass-Steagall that were ripped out in 99, things like the alleviation of the gold standard in 71, the Nixon shock, Bretton Woods in 44, the Great New Deal in 33. Like you start just walking through the parallels. Like I'm almost done this book, 1929, about the creation of the Great Depression. I just got done with a Milton Friedman book about the economic situations around the Great Depression. I'm just enthralled with the economy and how it moves. It's very sociological. It's very psychological. That's why tweets literally move trillions of dollars in the markets. It's so interconnected. It's crazy. So I started digging into it more, and then you start seeing where a lot of our money goes toward, and it's not all, but it's a significant portion. And then I immediately start digging into history. That's just where my questions always lead me, is history, where everything's founded. And I found a lot of weird stuff. And then I was like, oh, okay, money makes sense now. And then, you start stepping out against Zionism, which at its definition is just simply the support of the Israeli state being an ethno-state for the Judaist religion. And before we even keep diving deeper, I want to be clear about something. There's nothing anti-Semitic about questioning the state of Israel's government. Nothing at all. In fact, the word Semite also includes those of the Palestinian descent, because it revolves around that entire land, which was cut up by politics. So there is no red and blue in the Bible, only red words. That's all I found. The understanding of Zionism is that at its core, they have a right to exist. But the problem is it goes deeper than that. The problem is from the initial founding documents, we can see that this thing called Greater Israel was at the core of it. And Greater Israel is literally mentioned in the Bible. Genesis 3. It says from the Nile to the Euphrates. Okay, from the Nile to the Euphrates. Now, what does that mean? Zach, they have that. They have Israel. They have their land now. We can end it. Pull out a globe. That's not the land they occupy. Greater Israel is a larger set of countries. Now, let's take a side pin to that. Let's pin that for a moment. Israel is constantly talking about being in a 7-front war. What does that mean? It means they're at war with pretty much every country that touches their boundary. You got Iraq, you got Lebanon, Syria, Egypt, modern-day Turkey. Got a lot of countries mixed in. Even parts of Saudi Arabia are involved in that. And it's interesting when you look at all the countries that both of them have been at war with for the last, and when I say both of them, I mean America and Israel, have been at war with for the last 50 years. Mm-hmm. It's very interesting. And you start to look at the fact that a lot of the money goes toward the industrial military machine. In fact, when people say, hey, when we give Israel money, it comes back into our American economy, I encourage them to pull back the timeline on both sides. It's like, hey, where does the money come from? It doesn't get printed by our government or our bank. We could do that, but we don't. We get it from taxpayer money. So it's you sending the money, not the country. The country could do that, but they're using yours. Mm-hmm. But Zach, then it comes back into our country. They have to reinvest it. Though that's true, about 88% of it has to get reinvested into military items, warheads, missiles, tanks, everything you need. There's even a company in Frederica that makes the Kevlar for the IDF. They get contracts, they get subsidies or whatever from the government because the money does come back into America. But it comes back to military industrial contractors. It goes into Lockheed Martin. Goes into Raytheon, goes into Boeing, does not make it back to your pockets. It goes back into the engineers at those companies, goes back to executive boards. And that's kind of what you find at the bottom of every economic rabbit hole is everything kind of bleeds back to the top. My big question was, and still is, so why is that country seemingly at the top? It's interesting because we seem to have everything we need here, all while having a lot of domestic issues economically. It's like, why is any money going out to any country? We're not the World Security Guard, yet we have 210 bases worldwide. From someone who served on a few of them, why? And I just started asking questions, man. I go a million directions.
No, that's fascinating. So you got into this through the money. It's follow the money, and that's how you, wow.
Because what did God warn us about the most? Have you ever read Ecclesiastes? You ever read 1-5, Ecclesiastes, Solomon? The man who, by the way, is usually used as the beacon of God blesses those with riches. Read about the end of his life.
A little crazy.
Read about how much of a blessing that is. Also, we have no proof in the Bible he was ever Christian. Also, there were no Christians at the time, but we have no proof that he even believed in God. In Ecclesiastes, he spoke to him like, yo, if you're there, what's up?
At the end, he was clearly not. I mean,
yeah.
Yeah.
He was speaking in a way of like, yo, there's nothing new under the sun. I've had every woman. I've had everything you could buy. He literally had a coaching business. He would bring people into his town to teach people how to do what he was doing. He knew the game. And yet he was empty at the end of it all. Like money is the root of all evil. But this thing called mammon, which is a literal demon based off some people who dig into the word and its meaning, is used by Christ in a verse that the American church got me misquoting. So you cannot love God and money, right? Wrong. It says you cannot love God and mammon. And I'm like, what the heck is this word mammon? It means to lust after lusting. You want for the sake of wanting. You're filling something. And what more is sin at its base? We're trying to fill something. We're trying to chase something external to get us away from the internal. We don't want to be with our own brains, so let me scroll on my phone. Let me listen to this music. Let me drink this, smoke this, whatever you want to. It's all some form of distraction away from understanding us. And if we truly loved God, I think we'd want to get to know who we are and who God created. But yet we choose every single thing that's external. I don't think it's on accident, by the way. I think that's how the system's designed. But I think the American Christian system has also fell in its own way into the victim side of that very materialistic, neoliberal, conservative-facing, somehow political religious identity that we have, which is Judeo-Christian, which at its core, that word doesn't even make sense.
Yeah, I want to dive deep into that just so we can get through these terms.
18 chapters.
So we have the definition of Zionism. We got that. Christian Zionism. How will we define that? Just Christians who would support the nation state of Israel.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, to my knowledge.
And then I really love that you touched on this, like the definition of anti-Semitism, right? Criticizing a foreign nation is not in any way us criticizing Jewish people.
Right, and let's prove it. What would you call me if I was anti-Polish?
Weird guy. I don't know.
What if I was anti-Australian?
Right. It'd be an Aussie hater.
Right. There's no word for it.
Right.
It's the only one where there's a word. Why is there a word?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. And then, yeah, we're gonna dive in. So I wanna start at the very beginning of this, which is, where do Christians get this idea from? So I've got a couple verses that are frequently read for those who kind of believe that Christians, yes, should support. So you got Genesis 12:3. It's probably the most famous one. I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you I will curse, and in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed. That's like the go-to. We've also got Genesis 15:18. To your offspring I will give this land, from the river of Egypt to the great river, the river Euphrates, which is what you said earlier. And then there are plenty, but the only other one we wanted to quote was Isaiah 11:11-12. God will recover the remnant of his people and gather the dispersed of Judah from the four corners of the earth.
Yeah, and I believe that's re-referenced in Revelations.
Yeah.
I was a big Revelations head.
Oh, Revelations is the
up.
coolest thing.
That was I love that.
I told this story on a different podcast, but literally the day after the Epstein files dropped, I was just doing my Bible plan, and I happened to be in Revelation 5 when there's that epic moment where they're like, it's asked like, who's going to open the scroll? And then it's like, oh, we don't know. And then Jesus shows up, and it's like, it reads like a movie. And I was just like, I serve a savior that's already beaten all this evil. And it just, it like filled my soul. It filled my soul. But back to the main question, when Christians say the Bible says we should support Israel, what do they usually mean?
It's a layered question. I immediately say, okay, where are they getting it? Right. I'd argue most people that hold that belief have not gotten it through their own investigative work of the Bible. Mm-hmm. I'll start there. Yes. I think the American pulpit is probably where a lot of its sources. And just as we kind of stated earlier, I forget if we were even recording when we were talking about that, of talking about you are the people you kind of grew up with. Yeah, we were. We had a great conversation before the podcast. Should have been recording. And I think a lot of that happens within church lobbies. Everyone just shares the same belief. So I think there's a lot of that, just stickiness of your identity. Because imagine, like, in America, we do something as simple as, like, if I insulted your sports team, like you're a big Patriots fan, and I'm like, Tom's not the GOAT. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you're going to feel visceral. Like, by the third antagonization, you're going to be getting mad. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, it's part of your identity. We do the same exact thing with our beliefs all across the board. And this is like the end of life belief of like what religion you're picking. This is very, very big deal. Very big deals. I understand the emotion around it. But learning that you might be wrong about something, I feel just gets people in this extremely defensive tone and standpoint where they don't want to learn. They don't want to see it because that's what they were taught. And that's what the people around them think. And that's fine. And we should have community of like-mindedness, and we should be in a community of believers. But I think we should believe in what the book says. The book, when it's talking about, let's start with Abraham, okay? Jesus was born of a, pop quiz.
Come on, bro. Lock in, dog.
Wait, you said
Jesus was born of
a virgin.
That was the easy one.
That was
Dude, I don't know why.
All right.
You said, I think you said
slow down.
Abraham for a second.
Slow down.
You said Abraham for a second. I was like, wait a minute.
So in the beginning, there was the word.
Start from the beginning.
Oh, I did kind of hear him say Abraham.
I heard Abraham, and I was like, wait.
Yeah.
Might have been Freudian slip. Did I say Abraham and Eve?
I don't know. I thought I heard Abraham. That's why I was confused.
Well, we're about to talk about Abraham's seed. Yeah. So in Genesis, it talks about Abraham is going to be the seed of many nations, and he who believe in him or support them, bless them, they're also going to be blessed. Jesus was born of a virgin.
Let's go, dude. Homie's killing it.
No, locked in. So at the beginning of Matthew, Matthew is a tax collector, not religious, served Rome. Jesus says, "You're with me." He says, "Locked in." Got it. But you can still see the way he wrote as like a tax keeper, tax collector, finance guy, right? I think it said tax keeper, it's tax collector. He writes in this way of like every word is like documenting or adding evidence toward what was happening. He kind of has this habit throughout of like pulling back from Isaiah and other times where this is a prophecy being fulfilled right in front of me. Let me bring back the reference point from the Torah or wherever it is in the Old Testament. And he had this way of always kind of painting the picture in like not a lot of details like John would. He gets real artsy with it. But in this way of like, he wants you to understand, guys, I'm not crazy. Like, what's happening is nuts. That's kind of where I think his brain is at.
That's funny.
But he has this way of like trying to prove it. And so I find it interesting that Genesis 1, which I know Matthew didn't write, starts with the timeline of history. Here's the steps on how this happened. And now we're here. And Matthew 1 starts the same exact way. It starts with, we know it as the part we skip over, that long lineage. Mm-hmm. Here's the line of this, and he was the father of that, and he was the son of this. Well, Solomon, David, Abraham is in the line. So immediately when people question, oh, well, you're insulting the lineage of Abraham. Bro, Jesus is the lineage of Abraham. Okay? Oh, well, his seed is going to be the seed of many nations. You're that nation. Well, what does the seed thing have to do? What was Jesus born of?
Virgin.
A virgin. Where'd the seed come from?
God.
Big man.
So I think it's a lot simpler than what we're taught. And I think the argument of Israel is the fact that that's he who wrestles with God. It's Jacob. That's not a nation. In fact, it was never, it was Judea. The people of Israel is like saying, I'm of Delaware. That's how it works. There weren't surnames back then. You were of something. And it was the 12 tribes of Benjamin, which were the sons of Israel. Or I think grandsons. I might be messing up my lineage there. Quote me. Always down to be sourced. I just think it's simpler than us being born into something or having to protect something, because nothing about Christianity has anything to be has nothing to do with the earthly life. Has nothing to do with it. Nothing Christ talks about is about that. Nothing that we view as we should view as Christians should be about this earthly life. So why is how you were born and what you were born into or where you were born having anything to do with it? This is a world owned and run by Satan right now. Why does that have anything to do with it? When in verses I'm sure you're going to talk about already, it says very clearly you're grafted into this Jew and Gentile. And those verses are kind of ignored.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Paul makes it super clear. I also think on that note, this is the uniqueness of Christianity. Like Islam can only be read in Arabic. It is very much where the location of when everything happened, that it's still there. Like I was in Indonesia
cool.
last year, and everybody there reads the Quran in Arabic. But like we were talking to some locals, they don't know what it means, but they have to read it in Arabic. You can't even really translate it to them. I don't want to say you can't at all, but
right.
like I know that these.
Yeah,
people
I've read English translations,
right.
but I understand. Yes,
but it's practiced in Arabic.
Our language at the end of the day is pretty simple.
Yeah, but Christianity, it truly, and Judaism obviously is bloodlines, and even if you look at something like Buddhism, we were just talking about this with a previous guest of ours. It really is centralized. The people who really take it seriously, it's centralized into one area. Christianity, it is for everybody. Anybody can show up, and so claiming that somehow a specific group of people would have some special advantage goes against what was fulfilled in Christ. And Paul talks about this in most of his letters, but in Romans, he says this plenty of times that we're essentially the new Israel. But I think this gets into covenant theology versus dispensationalism. Could you give a quick overview of...
I'll try. Dispensationalism, that's 1800s, I believe.
Yes, we're going to get... Yeah.
Okay, so dispensationalism is the idea that Israel is a part of prophecy. So I actually remember this. I was like 13, 12 years old, and this actually got me into the Revelations thing. I remember my pastor sitting up there, Calvary Assembly of God, and he said, there's some war, something going on. And the reason he wasn't worried is because it's fulfillment of prophecy. The nations will rise up against Israel. Israel being founded is a part of the fulfillment of the Bible. This has to happen. And that's basically, if I'm not misquoting it, is dispensationalism.
Yeah.
It's the idea that you are believing in this being one of the pieces that leads to the end timeline. And there's a similar ideology in like Chabad Lubavitch, where they're looking for the Moshiach, which is, again, like fulfillment of prophecy has to be held. And that is based off of the Torah and the Talmud, which we do not have to get into. But that's a whole different can of worms. The interesting thing about the lineage of which these beliefs are even founded is it's found off of usually Orthodox or Rabbinic Judaism. And there are so many people of Jewish descent, Jewish origin, or chose Judaism as their religion that want nothing to do with it. There are so many that want nothing to do with Israel's government, want nothing to do with the war, want nothing to do with Zionism. And I think they get minimalized. And I think the reason is because when you look down kind of the rabbit hole, this is definitely a rabbit hole if there was one, who crucified Christ? There's a debate about this. Jews or Romans, exactly. The Jews handed him over. Rome initially, Pontius Pilate said no, and then brought him back. He said, the blood's off my hands, he's in your hands. He's crucified by the Roman government. This is also written about for all the non-believers out there in a lot of atheistic and historic texts. This happened. Jesus' life happened. The character of Jesus in the Bible, it was a real human being. And who was his arch nemesis? Like if he was a comic book, who was his arch villain in the timeline? Other than Satan. That's a big boss. That's a big boss. Who's his earthly mini boss? Who would approach him sometimes trying to get him slip up?
Caiaphas.
That's a great one. I was looking for Pharisees.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just in general, yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just in general. You nailed it.
That was tough. Ball knowledge.
Really recovered from that. I love the way he approached people that disagreed with him or had a different take, is they would just ask questions. He would ask questions. Mm-hmm. They ask a crazy question of him, he'd ask a question right back. And he'd know the subject matter so deeply, and he clearly had thought about these things so much that he immediately had a question he knew they weren't going to be able to answer. It's just baller. It's like from a psychological standpoint, like linguistically, I was like, that's pretty dope.
Oh yeah.
Like in that
he was cooking Pharisees.
So the best one's the 7 woes. Okay, and we'll tie this back. The 7 woes, right? He's in a market outside of a church where church leaders are the people he's calling out. He's yelling at the Pharisees. He's speaking out against the Pharisees, and it's in front of a bunch of people. So his argument is that they basically turned the market into a church. You guys are trying to lead these people, and you're doing it for crooked reasons. You don't wash the cup. The cup on the outside's nice. It's dirty inside. You're a whitewashed tomb. You're all these different things. Pit of brood of vipers. And then he ends it by saying, but go ahead. Go do as your fathers had done. And I was like, what does that line mean? It's like, you just got off this real great riot. Like you rambled for a bit and were locked in. What does that mean? And then you look it up, and it's like he's referencing the fact that those same people had killed the prophets before him. He already knew they were going to kill him. He said, go do as your fathers would. I was like, daggone. You know who they are. You know what they are right in their heart. And you still say, look, just do what you got to do.
I'm pretty sure right before Jesus entered Jerusalem of Holy Week, he said, right before he rode in on the donkey, like, woe to you, Jerusalem, who have killed the prophets, right before you. And then the Pharisees proceed to do the same thing.
And that debate can be had, right, of who's to blame. But at the end of the day, who's the group that got him in front of that audience in the first place? It was the Pharisees, okay? So he was yelling at the Pharisees, calling them all this, because he believed that they had turned the market into a church. What's very interesting is I think the Bible has this real poetic way of mirroring stuff, just like Matthew 1, Genesis 1. When's the other time Jesus gets angry?
Other than the market?
Other than that market where he's yelling in the 7 woes. We don't know he's yelling. I should stop saying yelling and shouting. He's probably real
Is it
cool.
Peter when he tells him to get behind him? No.
I think he did say he angered him, but this is much more like an outlash. It's when he made the whip on the stairs and went into the temple because they were selling merchandise. They were selling sacrificial items to people as they entered the Gentile temple is what they called it. The reason they called it the Gentile temple is because people would travel from all ways of life outside of Jerusalem to do their sacrifices there. So what they did is they're like, oh wait, you need our money, and you can't travel with too many animals to sacrifice. So we're going to sell them to you here in our currency, and you can get the transfer. And they were getting fees on everything. Fees on everything. And so Jesus created a whip and went in and started flipping tables.
With sicko mode.
But check this out. He got mad at the Pharisees for turning the market into a church. He got mad at them for turning the church into a market. And I think America does the same thing both ways in a way. But those are the two times where he was angriest. The people who put him to death were the Pharisees, right? Remember that book we mentioned earlier that we're not going to go deep into? People do their own research on the Talmud.
Yeah.
It's the basis behind things like Zionism. And it's the basis behind this thought process that's leading to already undergoing a genocide of their neighbors. It's a serious deal no matter which way you look at it. All death is terrible because none of us have experienced it. We're here and we're listening. We haven't experienced it. We have no clue what's on the other side. At the end of the day, we can have faith, and we do. You do. But we don't know. We don't know what it is to experience that. And yet we see headlines about death and we write it off at this point. It's almost sociopathic the way we can just brush off death because it's not right in front of us. So the people that get him in front of the crowds are the Pharisees, right? So what happens to the Pharisees? I looked into this. By about the 70s, early 70s, is the fall of Jerusalem, which there actually are. Have you guys looked into this? I'm not sure what I believe, but there are some biblical theologians that have dug into the history of it, and they think the revelations might have been about the fall of Jerusalem.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one. I think there's holes in it, but it's interesting. It's always cool when people start just putting together other pieces. Fall of Jerusalem. The Sadducees, who were like the law keepers, like the Congress for the Pharisees, dispersed. They were gone. The Pharisees turned into something else. They would inevitably actually be the ones who write the oral dictation of the Torah because they did not believe in Christ so heavily. And the Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible, Noahide laws, things like that, which is another Google term you can have, Noahide. So the Pharisees create the Talmud and create what's known as Rabbinic Judaism. Mm-hmm. The first rabbis were Pharisees. Rabbinic Judaism is where we get the term Judeo-Christian values, which was introduced really in the Cold War era as an opposition. It was a PR stunt. It was an opposition to the Cold War soulless Russians. We have God. It was made up. It was a PR play. And the whole thing is based around the values that are believed in by the people that created the infrastructure that put Christ on the cross. And I don't get why people can say the word Judeo-Christian or Christian Zionist and not understand the polarity of that, the juxtaposition of those words. And I think it's at least worth discussion and not anger, because I think there's a lot of depth to us understanding where we're going to go when we're dead and who we should serve while we're here. I think it's very important. But man, we love arguing about it and taking whatever a pastor said at face value when they may not even know.
So real quick on that for our audience. Obviously, at the beginning, we talked about how there's a difference between criticizing the government of Israel and Judaism and Jewish people. But it sounds like right now you are talking about Judaism.
So specifically, Rabbinic Judaism is like the same way that Christianity is used in the Conservative Party, Judaism is used in Israel. The whole point behind these wars is to expand territory because the land was promised. Bibi Netanyahu, their current prime minister, the founder of Zionism back in the 1880s, different people, both of them are atheists. They don't even believe in the Bible. So what's actually justifying these wars? What's actually justifying the no peace in the Middle East? If you get into the history of it, Israel was founded in 1947. It was founded as a resting place for the people that were being just kidnapped, tortured, tested upon, starved. It's disgusting, the Holocaust. And in the 1880s, they designed this thing called Zionism, saying basically this has nothing to do with the Bible. This is, Jews aren't really, they're not doing well with European society. They're not getting along. And we need to find a place where they can have their place and we can all get along. That was the meaning behind it. It had nothing to do with the Bible. Right. And so you look down the history books and you find, okay, well, these people were petitioned to go to Israel. When was that originated? And it was the Balfour Declaration. The Balfour Declaration was a declaration that Britain hand-signed stating, hey, we're going to create this land of Israel. when they were doing that, I looked in deeper. I was like, okay, well, why is this the land for Israel? And in fact, they didn't even know that was going to be the land. They were looking at Uganda. They were looking at Argentina. And they just decided here. And that happened to be on someone else's land. They'd been there for thousands of years. And
Semites.
And so this whole Zionist affiliation doesn't make as much sense to me because of the fact that there were people there. It isn't Christian affiliated in any way, shape, or form. It was really just about safety for these people, which everyone deserves. And especially coming off World War II, it's disgusting. It was atrocious. But now it's being used for something much more, in my opinion.
And this is something that like anyone can, like, this is just like history. Someone can just like research this. Someone who's like listening is like, I don't know about this.
Google
like,
the years, Google the events I'm talking about. We're not talking about the Yom Kippur War, the 6-Day War, like getting into South Africa, like the apartheid. Like there's so much you can connect even like with Israel and Argentina. Like there's a lot you can unpack. We're just trying to crash course it.
Yeah, and we'll get in deeper here in a second. So before we move on from this, I think this would be helpful for the audience to know. This idea of dispensationalism and covenant theology, for the majority of church history, it was covenant theology. Now, there are nuances. Not everybody
Can
in
you
covenant
explain
theology.
covenant theology?
Essentially that the promises of the Old Testament are fulfilled in Christ, not in a specific. And I'm saying for the audience, there is nuance. There's plenty of different positions within covenant theology. Covenant fellowship is our church.
See, that's where we disagree. I don't find a good argument for it.
For what?
For what you just said, for it not being covenant theology.
No, we're in agreement. I think.
Oh, you said there's holes in it. I just didn't.
There's people. People have different positions within covenant theology.
God.
We definitely all
within covenant.
Yes. As in, like, we don't want to say
The
everyone.
problem with my ears, not your mouth. My bad.
We don't want to say everybody who believes in covenant theology believes this, but bird's eye, this is what covenant
Just
theology
like
is.
Christianity has one. Yeah.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
A lot of nuance.
And same with dispensationalism. Not everybody who's a dispensationalist is a crazy Zionist. Like, there's nuance. But generally speaking, the church up until the 1800s affirmed this. And we actually, we prepped a little bit a lot for this episode.
Heck yeah.
And so we've got a couple quotes from the early church, kind of
Which page in the
affirming
syllabus
this.
am I on?
This is we're at 5B.
5B, beautiful,
this prep
beautiful.
Is so long.
Beautiful.
So,
He's not joking. I'm actually at 5B.
so Saint Augustine, for example, you were talking about Abraham's
Augustine,
seed.
yeah.
Yeah, he said, Augustine, yeah. Two things are promised to Abraham. One, that his seed should possess the land of Canaan, but the other, far more excellent, not about the carnal, but the spiritual seed. Essentially saying that, this is far beyond just physical, where you are and who you are by bloodline. Aquinas, by his coming, Jesus, the promises were fulfilled which had been made to the Jews of old. Once again, saying that this is very much fulfilled in Christ. Even for Protestants, would you consider yourself a Protestant? Is that a loaded question?
I don't know what I am.
Okay. Well, for Protestants, Luther, if you believe in Christ, then you are the children of Abraham indeed. Even Calvin, even more recently, the Israel of God includes all believers, whether Jews or Gentiles, who are united into one church. So it's clear that for the majority of church history, everyone's on the same page.
Yeah, like the 99 Theses by Martin Luther. I mean, that was a statement against this organized religion. It was being tainted.
100%. So I guess the question has to be, and this will be probably one of our deepest dives of this conversation, is if the early church...
That was a warning for anyone listening. Like, shoot, we're not deep.
Whoops. So if it's clear that we think that the Bible doesn't clearly mandate this sort of Christian Zionist support, and the early church up until the 1800s is also not behind that, then where does this newer reading come from? Especially in the United States, which is where you see the majority of this.
So listen, I think a lot comes down to this word mammon, the lust for lusting. We have a lot of people that want a lot. They want power, they want money, they want positions, they want security, they want affirmation, validation. We're all human. You give a person a lot of money and they're going to be very, very human. And they say that, money doesn't change you, it makes you more of who you already were. I think that Christianity was hijacked for politics.
By who?
Politicians. How deep do you want me to go, brother?
You
warned me about a few names beforehand. I'm trying to.
John Nelson Darby. We could get into him. We could talk about.
Let's go to John Nelson Darby. Let's do that.
Okay.
Seems like a nice exit ramp.
No, I mean this is the rabbit hole. I think it was hijacked by Darby and then later by Scofield, which I'd love to get into.
Yeah, Cyrus Scofield. Absolutely.
Yes. So, I mean, what do you want to tackle first?
Go for the first one. What did you want to? Do you want to go off on, or do you want me to?
Do you feel well versed
show.
on Darby?
No, I want.
Okay.
I that's why I want you to read about him. So I know what he founded, but I don't know much about the life of John
Darby is kind of the and I'm also out of my depth here, but Darby essentially he brings dispensationalism to the table, and especially in the United States, and what his message is then basically given a massive megaphone with Scofield, and I think that's really where we can go down the rabbit hole with the Scofield Reference Bible.
The Scofield Reference Bible, I believe, is 1906. I think so.
Yes.
1906.
Yes.
So why is this so relevant? So it becomes the most mass-printed Bible in America. It is
over 10 million copies.
Yeah.
Now.
When they say the Bible is the number one book sold, they're pretty much saying this one's leading the charge, especially here in America. So it's interesting because when you look into Cyrus Scofield, he wasn't an author. He was a literal convicted con man with no theologic background from a family that ostracized him, that somehow landed at Oxford with all the resources of the New York press at his back to release the new version of how we should view theology and where we're going when we die. We know many people spend hundreds of years debating and thinking of these deep topics, but this con man, I think he's got it. And he didn't change the Bible. He added the first footnotes, the commentary, which is honestly where the Talmud gets construed because it is commentary around the Bible. So when we start getting into commentary around the Bible, we get into dangerous territory by stating this is what that means. And that's essentially what it was. And he took on Zionistic viewpoints of things like Genesis and Galatians and what Paul and Christ even talked about, Revelations. And these footnotes started to appear, and it just so happens to line up that about 10 years later, the Balfour Declaration would be reached, and all of a sudden there's a place to put that passion. It's the number one sold Bible. Am I allowed to say who financed? Yeah, okay, so the Rothschilds financed the Scofield Bible's printing, a staunch Zionist family from Europe. So
check that out, source that for yourself.
Please, dude. Yeah. Hey, and listen, when you type that word into Google, it's gonna be like, conspiracy, get off of that. I'm just saying, you get into sources, you get into articles that was written then, you get a different story oftentimes. Mm-hmm. Which,
yeah. I mean, just a quick note here. The Scofield Bible was sold over 2 million by the end of World War II. 2 million copies by the end of World War II.
Oh, geez.
And it's estimated now that it's 10 million that have been sold. And just for the audience to see,
the pacing of that is crazy. That's a lot.
This is an example of a footnote that was included in the original Scofield Bible.
Oh, great.
That the man or nation that lifts a voice or hand against Israel invites the wrath of God. So, like you said, this is what's basically under Genesis 12:3. This is what the reader would be listening to.
The man or nation that lifts a voice or hand against Israel invites the wrath of God. How else do you interpret that as a very jaded viewpoint of that verse?
It's
the wrath of God.
And we'll get to it in a second about how this only ramped up all the way up until 1967, where they were printing different copies of this Bible. But I think it's important for people to kind of know that this, like you said, this was mass produced all across the United States. And I don't think that it's a coincidence that we see Christian Zionism basically flourishing in our country compared to anywhere else. It's massive.
It is massive. I don't really have anything to add to that point. Scofield Bible is something that people just don't know about. At the end of the day, they just don't have any clue about it. It's just what was handed to them. It's what was in church. It's what was at the youth group. And maybe it even wasn't, but that's a lot of where that belief came from.
And I think what's so pervasive about it is that you just have good-natured Christians showing up like, yeah, let me read my Bible, right? And then they just get swindled into something that Jesus definitely didn't intend for you to take away from this, but they just assume, well, this is what the Bible's telling me to do. And man, the Word of God being manipulated, I don't want to get too worked up, but it really, really...
It should work you up, brother. Don't bottle yourself up. It should work you up. It's being used for murder.
That's what I'm saying.
It's being, like, the Word of God is being used as a weapon to justify murder. No matter which way you split it. There are people whose lives will end, and it does not matter that they have different colored skin or speak a different language or have some form of different ethnic background. They're dead. Their families displaced. There are people that are nomads now that were in a sophisticated society just 5 years ago, earlier. I don't know why as Christians we don't hold more compassion for death. especially of those that aren't Christian. That should hurt us the heaviest. And yet we again, just kind of like brush it off.
Don't we have like a pro-life conversation?
Yeah, we're gonna. Yeah,
That's towards the end. Though.
yeah, we'll jump to that.
Sorry, I jumped ahead.
No, you're good. You're good.
That was 8:16.
And we also, yeah, which chapter was that? No, we also, this is here to help us, and so that the audience can trust that what we're saying. Please, like, verify these things yourself. I think we're even going to include a source link in the description.
Awesome. You should
We
tag
do
this.
not, we do not want to be speculating. We do not, like, please look at this stuff for yourself. A lot of what we're citing are true sources. I have examples here from the 1967 Scofield Bible. So essentially what happened was when Scofield died, Oxford, like you said, Oxford Press still had the rights to the Bible, to the Scofield Bible. And they added 700 plus new footnotes between the original Scofield Bible and 1967. And they got way crazier, way crazier. So we have a quote here from one of the added ones. So this is that same Genesis 12:3. Look at how this has changed in just 60 years.
I think I should read the Genesis verse so people.
The actual.
Yeah. This is Genesis 12, chapter 12, verse 3. I will bless those who bless you, and him who dishonors you I will curse. And in you all the families of the earth shall be blessed.
Okay. So that is the ESV.
Can you rerun that? I didn't hear Israel. I must have not heard it. That was weird. Okay.
Well, this will blow your socks off. This is what 1967. This is what's in the Scofield Bible. Remember what we just read in 1907 of what it said. That was already pretty crazy. For a nation to commit the sin of anti-Semitism brings inevitable judgment.
I've never read that.
That is insane. And they also, in this 1967 version, they removed a note recognizing Arabs as co-heirs to Abraham's covenant alongside the Jews. Basically saying that, yeah, also the Arabs, it's starting to be used as a political tool to indoctrinate Christians to support things that Jesus himself would be so far from.
Oh, yeah. But Jesus would love bumping a Toby Keith song saying we're about to send missiles to a foreign country. He would bump to that. Come on. I'll put a boot in your... Like, everybody's singing that. Like, we're pumped up for destruction. I just don't get it. I don't get it.
And a lot of people go, yeah, but those are just crazy.
Those
Christians.
are terrorists, brother. They want to nuke you. When's the last time Iran attacked us? They haven't.
Real quick, if you love what you're watching and you want to support the channel, please like, comment, and subscribe, and turn on the post notifications. Now back to the podcast.
Yeah, I feel like people, I mean, maybe people we know would say, yeah, that's crazy, but there's not that many Christians that believe this. We have some research about what Christians believe in the United States. 2022, Pew Research, 70% of white evangelicals said God gave the land that is now Israel to the Jewish people, compared to just 32% of U.S. Jewish people. Think about that. That's absurd. And another research piece in 2017, 80% of evangelicals say Israel's rebirth in 1948 was a fulfillment of biblical prophecy. 76% said Christians should support the Jewish people's right to live in a sovereign state of Israel. So when you say these might just be some crazy Christians, no. It has indoctrinated almost all of evangelical Christianity in the United States. What?
Yeah, it's crazy to think about because before my eyes were open to the actual facts, like I just thought it was an automatic stance, like, oh, like you're Christian, you support Israel. And I think the conversation didn't really start until we started hearing about the whole the bombing and the missile stuff with Hamas. And when was that?
In 2023, October 7th is kind of where people really started to lock in on this.
Or then people started having more conversations like, okay, like, should we support this and should we not? And that's when my mind the gears started to switch. But I know there's going to be a lot of people listening to this.
The political machine to force people to pick sides of which murder they preferred, okay, is not Christian. It's not. We should be seeking peace, not retaliation. I don't remember the verse. I could try to look it up on my phone where God said, bomb thy neighbor. I don't remember it. I don't think he said it. I think he said, love thy neighbor. And we're pretty far from that.
This is a quote that might be very jarring for our audience to hear. I don't know if you've heard of this quote. Do you know who John Hagee is?
I don't believe so. No.
He's a very famous televangelist.
Oh.
He was big.
One of the greasy haired boys.
He is. He's a little bit of an unk nowadays. I think he's still alive. He said this in a 2008 sermon. And please, once again, feel free to check my sources on this. So he stated in a sermon in 2008 that Hitler was sent by God as a hunter to force the Jews to Palestine. These were his exact words. God says in Jeremiah 16, "Behold, I will bring them, the Jewish people, again unto their land that I gave unto their fathers. Behold, I will send them for many fishers, and after will I send them for many hunters." A hunter is someone who comes with a gun and he forces you. Hitler was a hunter. His argument was that Jews who refused to immigrate to Israel voluntarily had to be forced there by persecution. He framed the Holocaust as a divine mechanism for achieving Zionist migration goals. So to those listening who think these are just crazy people, this is one of the most famous televangelists saying this in a sermon about Hitler.
Yeah, that sounds like 2 glasses of wine deep at Thanksgiving dinner. That doesn't sound like a sermon
What?
on television.
So people are like, what does that have to do with theology? Everything. This entire kind of relationship we have with this country is actually...
It's the same thing that they used to sell wars. That same exact theology of we're using religious positioning to justify mass murder.
Mm-hmm.
And
Right.
and that's what people, you start talking about Jesus, like, what about the Holocaust? Like, that's awful too.
That was horrific.
Why can't we be horrified by both?
Pro-life
Oh, what
across
about
the board.
October 7th? Like, it was atrocious. It was a retaliatory effort, okay? And it was a 6-hour ceasefire that definitely happened, and a 45-minute flight that could have been had from their main headquarters of the Mossad. They could have taken care of it earlier. How were they even able to pierce the boundaries? They're so well protected. There was something there. I'm not going to get all conspiracy theory, but it was retaliatory. Look at the hundreds of years of what that country actually looked like. And when you get pre-1913, you're not going to see a lot of turmoil. It was owned by the Ottomans from, I believe, the 1510 all the way up to and through World War I. Peace, no issues. So when people say, that's what I was told in church, that's a place that's always had war. You don't want to get tangled up. It's too complicated.
It's a lie.
It's been going on for decades and ages. I'm like, timeline looks pretty blank here, actually. Am I missing something? And then you introduce Israel into the picture, and all of a sudden, bomb, 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 missile, missile, missile. And the taxes that got taken out of your wages helped fund it.
That's the thing. This is not just an abstract thing we're opining on. Christians are clearly being manipulated to support this, and our money is going towards, like, if we're going to be pro-life, let's be pro-life across the board, not just for Planned Parenthood, right? You know what I'm saying?
Don't hurt them.
No, but like I was thinking this the other day as I was prepping for this. Like, you would never see a group of Christians, for the most part, organize in a massive fashion and spend a bunch of money supporting Planned Parenthood. You just wouldn't see that. It would be maybe, but very hard to find. What is different about Gazan children being killed in the thousands? Like, what is the difference?
None. Can I flex real quick?
Flex. You're already jacked, bro. You
No,
don't have to flex anymore, bro.
Bro's
I'm
flexing
tiny.
right now.
Bro's
I'm
flexing right
tiny,
now.
dog. It's just a tight shirt.
Medium.
It's a large, dog. I've gotten to have some cool conversations with people as I've grown, like my social media platform. Like I'm like Instagram type with Sal Volcano from Impractical Jokes.
No way.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, the Arian Foster, old running back from the Texans. We've talked. He's gonna come golf in Delaware. We're gonna
bro.
He's a 8. I'm a 13, so he's gonna smack me. But we'll talk about something afterwards about why he's better than me. He said we're the same golfer, but it had to do with where we live. I was like, what? For the golf podcast, subscribe and like is I gotta follow, and like I say all that, say like it doesn't matter. We're all human. It's cool to connect with people you've seen on TV and stuff like that, but they're humans. The one person I got giddy for was Miss Rachel.
No way.
Yeah.
It's so random.
The one I got pumped for was Miss Rachel, because you talk about some of these dark things, and a lot of these things, especially like I've been talking about for a bit now, where I'm on the opposite end of the mass opinion, if to put it lightly sometimes. And when she followed me and we talked ever so slightly in the DMs, that was like my smack of like, you're on the right side, keep going.
For those who don't know,
if Miss Rachel agrees with what you're saying, I have much more confidence moving forward.
Why is she relevant to this for those who don't know? I know there's a big
So Miss
controversy.
Rachel is a career child educator, young child educator, made her name. I think she's a teacher at first, but made her name on YouTube with the Miss Rachel Show. What other adults may view as cringy content, she connected directly with kids like all across the world because she legitimately just loved children and she saw the way that probably they were being raised and educated and just wanted to help. She has spoken out fiercely, at least in the last year and a half, maybe longer. I don't want to limit what I know against the genocide that's going on in the Middle East, specifically Gaza, West Bank, and the Palestinians, because there are children dying. And there is no race, color, or creed that's associated with love. And she has a deep love for children and life. And I think is really the epitome of what Christ would have wanted someone to walk like, to be quite honest with you. I don't know her personally, but the values exuded seem to match much more with that Matthew book right in the beginning of the New Testament than maybe some of the American church ideology is pushing on CNN and Fox News. Well, I guess CNN doesn't push Christian propaganda.
They would never.
A bunch of liberals. I get it. And it sounds like a liberal conversation to come at these things because it's a conservative thought process a lot of times.
Crazy. Yeah.
But can we just, again, it's always like, let's peel a layer back. It's like, let's look at why that's even one of the rules. Mm-hmm. What are the rules? Why are there rules? What's the game? What game we playing? There's rules. There's got to be a game. There's got to be an agenda. What are we doing? Who created it? Did God create? No. So I'd be a human. How did it get created? Like you get into like these beliefs and like we're talking about a 2,000-year-old man. And things are popping up in the 1960s. Like we weren't even quoted as a Christian nation until the mid-1900s. We were founded by deists. George Washington was not a Christian. Thomas Jefferson produced his own version of the Bible with Jesus' miracles and the resurrection ripped out. There, you look at like James Madison, George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Ben Franklin, not Christians by any means. In fact, they were escaping the tyrannical government of Britain that was using religion to keep control over them. A lot of what Jesus was mad about, turning the market into a religion. So how are we a Christian nation when we weren't founded on Christian values and a lot of the things that we do day to day don't really match up with what the Bible's actually saying, at least what Jesus said, you know, the red words, which I think deserve a little bit of focus. I forget what even the original question was. I'm being real space heady today. Maybe it was a drive.
It's that watermelon electrolytes.
It's dude. The watermelon electrolytes are just hitting. Yeah, give me another. It's just been bled into our society, and people get angry about it. But it's like, yo, it's a part of the game. Can I go deep on one more comparison?
Go.
You ever been to a casino?
Yes.
Been to a casino? Cool. Casino, you walk in, there's a few factors you got to know about a casino. One, they want you to go there to spend money, just like any business. But the funny part about it is you know the house is going to win. It's rigged. But you go in and do it anyway. You're entertained, okay? They got shows. They got things for you to watch, lots of TVs. The other thing they don't have is they don't have windows. They don't want you to see outside. They don't want you to know where the sun's at. They don't have clocks. They want you to lose track of time.
That's fascinating.
They pump oxygen into the AC vents to give you a bigger high on your wins, get you more pumped up to keep going. All in an area that's otherwise ugly. If you look at the decor of a casino, it's pretty ugly if you look at the foundation of it, but the games are really fun and bright and good. I think America spends way too much time doing this specific thing, right? So imagine you're sitting at the blackjack table and you lose. It's like the seventh hand you've lost. You've been doing this for 15 years. You're an addict for this stuff. You love this stuff. This is your life. This whole game is your life. And you start losing and you look to the guy to your right or the guy to your left and you say, it's your fault. You made me lose money. You're the reason my family hates me and I'm a drunk now. You're the reason I put my house on red. It's your fault. When whose fault is it actually? Well, he could yell at the dealer, but they have a set amount of cards that they can deal. They're just doing their job. You could yell at the pit boss. Is he really responsible for anything? It's like, what is that even? Then you could go talk to a manager, almost like calling your representative. You can go talk to a manager, but guess what? They have a manager, and they have a manager, and they have a manager. And guess what? All their job is to keep you at the casino, spending money so they win because it's rigged, and they'll give you a hotel to stay at in between stays. That's the whole system. That is America. And the problem is right now, we are not looking at the house. We're in the house, at the table, yelling. And this is my frustration big time with content and why it's so frustrating to even talk about, because there's so much to it, to get on the same level playing field. Because while you're yelling at the person to your right or to your left, I feel like I'm sitting in the lobby watching it happen, like all of you are just mad at the wrong people. And then the ones that take it a level up are just taking it to the next level of management. Is never going to make it to the owner, and the owner's going to do what's good for the casino. The question only becomes, is there one big casino? Is it multiple casinos or different countries' casinos? Are there competing casinos? Are they collaborating casinos? I don't know. Won't claim to know. I'm not in the rooms. But America has become like this casino atmosphere where we have to be entertained at all times. We have to have music. We have to have TV. We have to have something in front of us. We have to have some form of stimulant, whether it's as easy as coffee, whether it's as deep as meth. Like people crave feeling, and everything is pushing us away from God that is in the system. Every mainstream, turn on your local radio station, listen to one song by Sabrina Carpenter and tell me why that should just be on pop stations. I believe most all mass media music is propaganda. I believe all mass entertainment is here to keep you distracted from looking up at the house. Everything's to entertain, divide, and guess what? We got food and a place for you to sleep as well. Play the game. And it's okay to play the game. Casinos can be fun. But stop yelling at the person to your left or to your right. It makes no freaking sense. The game's rigged, not that person. That's what I would say.
That was a good analogy.
That's what I would say. I wanted to throw that one in. I wanted to throw that one in.
In the analogy, what would you say? Who is the house?
It's a grand question. What a philosophical question.
That is the question.
I think, well, here's the thing. You could go into bloodlines, you could go into religions, they've been utilized for power grabs for a long time. I mean, Rome only became a Christian nation, canonically created the Bible for control over the people because everyone was following Christ. They're like, yeah, that Jesus guy rocks. And they're like, no! So they're like, okay, we're Christian. That's what happened. I personally just think the house is mammon. I want to get back to that. I think it's just based in demonic forces. I think it's spiritual warfare. I think this is a Satan-run earth. I think it's based on, we don't have to get into the nuance. Because yes, is it billionaires? Is it the wealth gap being exacerbated? Sure. Is it political folly and government spending? Absolutely. Federal Reserve printing in a debt-based society and a usury model with a fiat currency system? Sure. But at the end of the day, the people that want more and have that lust for lust are draining it from the top. If that makes sense.
No, that's good.
And it's almost like a Jenga game, right? Like in Jenga, what's the end of the game always look like? Okay, how does it happen? The rules are you go one turn at a time, pulling one block. You can pull the block, but don't make it fall. You can't take the block from where? The top three. Gotta leave them alone. You gotta pull from the bottom and the middle. And slowly but surely, there's gonna be so much at the top, and there's gonna be nothing left holding up the infrastructure of that Jenga tower, and it is going to fall. And it's caused by mammon.
Wow. So to the Christians who are listening, they're like, this is all fascinating, this is all crazy, but why as a Christian should I care about politics? I've got my Bible, I've got my community. Why should I care about an issue like Christian Zionism if it doesn't really affect me?
Jesus said that when he was questioned, which commandment is best, he responded by saying, to love thy neighbor. What is the definition of not loving thy neighbor? Just worrying about yourself. I don't think Jesus would be here right now worrying about himself. I think he'd be doing exactly what he was doing back then, fighting for the little people, fighting against the infrastructure that he was set up in that was misleading people. Yeah. I think that our Savior being utilized as a weapon for murder should infuriate people. and the red, white, and blue, and that beer in your hand should not be the reason that a brown family dies. It's really weird. And of course, you look into the propaganda tours that Bibi Netanyahu ran when he fell out of the Likud party in the 90s to regain his spot. You see the marketing ploys that they've used here in America to make us hate the people that are in the Middle East. All while, like, the beauty of social media is I've actually gotten to connect with a lot of people from those places.
Really?
Yeah. Pakistan, Afghanistan, like place I literally fought for the US, and I'm talking to people. And what's interesting is I remember when I was deployed, like I was always told, like, you know, the civilians are real dangerous. I never had better conversations or more like in tune, felt like I was getting listened to conversations than with the civilians. But yeah, Iraqi, Iranian, all across the board, a lot of people from Palestine, a lot of them. And like, it just really sucks, like, because we're in this world that we deem to be normal that's just so not normal for everyone else on the planet. And when you say, oh, just worry about yourself, like, let's define that. Okay, pay your bills. Okay, go out to your dinner date, get your mojito, you know, get that chips and salsa that you absolutely die for. Someone made it for you. That's awesome.
He's saying all this to me for some reason.
Yeah. Wrong example?
No, that's good. That's good.
I should have gone whiter, my bad. Cheeseburger, beer. Talk about the Cowboys. I'm a Niners fan too. And that's the other thing, like all of it kind of loses its luster when it's all feeling like a distraction from focusing on the meaning of it all. And when you read the Bible, he's talking about the meaning of it all. And us as an American society have gotten so far away from the meaning of it all. And I think any boomer, any Gen Xer, any millennial can agree with the fact that it just seems like as a society, we've gotten much more shallow. And there's no depth to what we're creating or doing. And everything's just a support and support and support. We stopped innovating. We stopped worrying about a 500 years from now, 1,000 years from now. You know, we're a 250-year-old country this year. China's 4,000 years old. Like the land we're talking about, the Middle East, multiple thousands of years old. And becoming older, the longer that people look and find stuff. We're such a blink on the timeline. And for me to even sit here with my blink of a life to say that I'm right is crazy. Because I don't know anything. I don't know anything. The more you learn, the more you find out you don't know anything. And surrendering to this life and loving thy neighbor is exactly what we're called to do. And being in your own circle and saying, I'm just going to take care of me. Though it can be virtuous when taking care of your family and those around you, and we should be in community and we should connect with others. And we need to put ourselves and our family first because, like I say on the airplane, put the mask on you before the people to your left and to your right. Same deal applies. Got to take care of home base first, but to just outright be apathetic to murder, to corruption, to pedophilia, to, I don't want to use like the algorithmically painful words.
I know. I already used one. We're going to have to, yeah.
But there's just a lot that happens under the guise of headlines that we don't dive deeper into that should not just enrage, but it should move a Jesus-backed movement. And we seem very apathetic.
No, that's, were you going to say something?
I was gonna say I had the opportunity. I think the most countries going to just going to like for school and so many college students. I got to meet people from all those countries. And then when I went to, I got to meet a lot of people from Palestine and just hearing like all the horror stories. And now coming back to the States, I always tell people like, you need to leave not leave the country, like go and stay, like live there, but you need to go to other countries just to see that like, these are God's people too. And it just like grows your heart. Just like, I feel like in America, a lot of times we get in this mindset or even just like preach like America, like we're God's people. And that like, that's how it is. And then like being overseas and like seeing these people struggle with mental health, like they're struggling with poverty, you're struggling with all these things, the same things that we struggle with. It gave me just a greater heart to just see further than just us. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's crazy to just, I don't know, just to think about these are humans as well.
With blood running through their veins, their arteries run the same directions, everything intestinally is the exact same.
But it's really easy when you group them all into one just idea.
Yeah.
And I mean, you said you were in the military. I'm sure that's what they were doing. That associate this group of people with this thing.
Oh, 100%.
There you go.
I remember we were doing pre-training in El Paso for going to Afghanistan. They would like get you out in the heat before they sent you to the heat, and it didn't help. It was really hot. It's like 120 degrees, like was the average through the summer. It's nuts. But then snowed during the winter, which when I was in the northern parts, I was like, what? Yeah. And we had this whole like week-long training basically on firing, but also the mentality behind it of like, you have to be ready because you don't know what's going to happen. And you don't know what your reaction is going to be when you're faced with pulling the trigger. You don't know what your brain's going to be doing. And I remember sitting there, I was so locked in. You know, I was trying to go Ranger. I had the record for my state for PT. I was on it. I was locked in, full hua. I was annoying too. I remember sitting there thinking like, nah, I'd fire. Easy, done. It's part of the mission. Hua. I'm a patriot. You know, my mom rejoined the military because of 9/11. You know, I'm dual military son. You know, only reason I've traveled the country is for military bases. Only time we traveled is when there was a military base to stay at. You know, broke private parents type deal. But it's not the right mentality. Yeah. And there's a justification for being able to bear arms and things like that. I know there's a lot of conservative beliefs around where you have the right to bear arms. Yeah. Do you know why you have that right? To prepare yourself against the government. Read it. It all comes back to reading. It's not for the intruder or the brown person you think is going to enter your house at night. That's not why it was written. The lack of love in the current version of Christianity, I feel, is just sad. And I don't mean to virtue signal by saying that. I mean it wholeheartedly. I think our world would be dramatically better if we cared about our neighbor. And yeah.
Yeah, and I getting back to that question of like, why specifically should Christians care? I think, and up until this point in the conversation, we've made that clear. It's because we, even if it's inadvertent, we are so involved in this. I have a couple stats I just wanted to read for the audience. So CUFI, we'll just say CUFI. It sounds a little weird, but CUFI. It has over 10 million members and calls itself the largest pro-Israel organization in the United States. Its mission statement is to speak and act with one voice in defense of Israel. Now, already this should be getting flags kind of raised because you always hear about AIPAC. You don't hear about these guys.
I believe they were more well-funded, aren't they?
Yeah, this is the largest kind of organization, like pro-Israel organization in the country, and you don't hear about this. All you hear about is AIPAC. AIPAC is not great. I agree. But the Christians United for Israel has almost 10 million members. Now, do you remember that televangelist I was talking to you earlier? Mm-hmm. That quote was from the CEO and founder of Christians United for Israel.
Wow. That's crazy. That's a wild take from him.
That's who's telling you that you got to send your money overseas to fulfill some sort of prophetic destiny. That guy said that.
And to be statistically clear again on why it does indeed affect us. I mean, there's several people around our country that could benefit from having health care. You get that for free there. Higher education. Yep. Get that for free there. Right. Housing assistance. I mean, you name it. It's all there, and you got to ask, okay, where'd the money come from? It gets even weirder when you ask where the money came from. It's like, oh, you're getting money from other economies, but you also get it for, you know what the number one thing they export?
Who?
Israel.
No.
Diamonds.
Really?
You know how many diamond mines they have? Big old fat zero.
That's crazy.
They extort them from slave labor in Africa.
Wow.
The De Beers Diamond Company started
That's their number one export?
Yep. The Oppenheimer-Rothschild relationship started that. De Beers Diamond. The reason that you were told that 3 months income is what you should use on a wedding band was because that was their marketing strategy. And they withhold supply to create the value of them being scarce.
Oh my goodness. See,
that's crazy.
So yeah, once again, to the Christian watchers saying, we're not really involved. Christians, they are the bedrock. They're the linchpin for Zionist beliefs. Mm-hmm. They basically need us to support them.
Absolutely.
CUFI also, they received 1.3 million from Concert, which is an Israeli government funded group, to basically fund these influential Christian cleric trips, essentially propaganda trips to get people to go to Israel.
The homeland trips.
Right, to have a great time. Well, but I think that's for Jewish people.
Mm-hmm. Who's this for?
This is for Christian pastors.
Oh,
they set aside 1.3 million to get Christian pastors to go have a great time in Israel and to come back and tell their congregation, hey, I had a great time in Israel, which once again, I'm not even blaming those specific pastors. I'm sure they do care, but I don't want to make it seem like all these people are frauds, but we have to understand what is behind all of it.
Yeah. Why did 3 of our Delaware local politicians get sent to Israel last October?
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, why is my Milford representative over in Delaware? What are you learning over there? What does it have to do with the
How's that going to help Delawareans?
Yeah, how is this boosting our local economy?
Are you
Are
serious?
they fixing the traffic system on 13? Like, what's going on?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
No way.
100%.
It's so funny because I used to see the posters in church when I was a kid of like trips to Israel. Like they were
Which
always
is
there.
incredible to go back to the land of Judea where Christ walked, where you could take the journey that he took through the book. I mean, just like anybody, if they read like even a fictional book about Ireland, would want to go to the sites referenced in that book. Like, I'm deeply connected to it, as I think all Christians should be. It should be a point of passion for us to care about this, because they are talking about the land Jesus walked on, and they're using it for politics, which is why you should care about politics.
Bingo. And this is I think if this is the only point that people ponder on, I would be more than happy. Why does so much American evangelical energy toward Israel seem to take the form of tourism, political advocacy, and national support rather than the normal missionary language we use for almost any other nation?
It's a great point. That was a bar.
To be fair, I wrote that down, so I worked on that.
No, Lil Wayne would have used that. That was great.
But it's every Christian should be able to, because you're saying you're seeing posters in your church and stuff. What is unique about Israel? If we've now said that biblically, no. Historically, the Christian church, no. What is it, if not for an infiltration of this ideology to convince you that no, there's something unique about this area? And like, I don't want to speak for all Christians, but I don't hear a lot of mission trips to convert Jews in Israel. I don't hear that. I don't see this kind of stuff. It's almost always to go because we have some sort of political or touristic thing.
And rabbis would tell you with a straight face that they believe that Jesus is burning in hell and excrement. It's what it says in the Talmud. A religious text they base their entire life off of. And I don't want to take anything out of context, but I've researched this quite a bit. And the viewpoint that they have on our Savior is so much worse than that atheist that you hate or want to convert. Like, to be honest with you, like the rabbinic Judaism side of things does not believe in the same anything that you believe in. And I think we've been kind of whitewashed to believe that's not true, that we're kind of one and the same. And we are under Christ. That's the confusing part. We are under Christ. Yeah. We are all grafted in. But there's this it's almost like this superiority thing where they feel they're chosen based off a couple verses that, if you look at them just ever so slightly with some research, may have nothing to do with your bloodline. It may have everything to do with the blood that was shed. And I just don't get too much of it. Like the support, we want to support human life. We want to support human abundance. And if America is the largest economy on the planet, we should be helping other people. We should be doing that. Why do we have so many homeless people? Why is the cost of universal health care about $4.5 billion, and yet we've spent about $30 billion in Iran in the last 2 months?
Yeah.
Why is that?
Right.
Why is that? That's all I want to know. Oh, we want to get rid of their nukes. Well, I thought we got rid of those in June. What was Operation Midnight Hammer? I'm confused. I thought we obliterated them. You said it multiple times. Decimated.
Or Tulsi Gabbard, even before that, saying that they're not enriching uranium.
They'd never do that.
We were waiting for the Trump impression.
Completely decimated. Absolutely obliterated. You can ask anybody. The wins, like I was talking to my dad actually on the drive up, because I did a podcast. Swear I don't have that bad of a lisp. And we covered Iran. We've been keeping up to date with it. We've said really since week 2, this wasn't ending anytime soon, because we were being told 2 to 4 weeks. And I pretty much just laid out the economic reasons as to why.
But we've won like 17 times. What are you talking about?
19 actually.
19?
Yeah.
We've won 19 times, guys.
19 times, and Israel won't strike South Lebanon 8 times. And they struck and killed 4 people this morning.
Has the highest proportion of Christians in the entire Middle East.
Sure does.
Lebanon. Where are all the Christian leaders saying that we need to support those in Lebanon?
Well, Palestine, they were 10% Christian. Now I believe they're only about 2% Christian.
Oh, brother.
Exact
Hold
stat?
on. I have the exact stat.
Heck yeah.
Let me cook.
This dude is so prepared.
On
It's
page
fire.
112.
Christians were around 10% of the population in 1948. Today, they're about 2% across Israel and Palestine territories. Come on, bro.
Nailed it.
He's dialed.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
So yeah, where's the upheaval about that? I mean, there's a genocide, that's civil wars that have broken out in Egypt, Syria. There's been death across so many different countries. I mean, we don't even get taught about the millions that died in the communist riots in the 40s, where China basically toppled, and landlords were being murdered in the street. It was kind of crazy. Millions of civilians died. We don't get taught about that. We get taught really only about one massacre in human history outside of the ones America won. That's pretty much it.
Why?
Yeah.
Right.
And some will tell you that, because winners write the history books, and pattern-wise, that pretty much rings true. I think we like to believe in the age of limitless digital information that we're not being withheld that information, but it doesn't take a conspiracy when interests are aligned, as George Carlin said. We're living in a time, I think, again, of just spiritual warfare. And it's like, how could so many people be colluded in all this evil? The lust for lusting after more, like, it ends there for me. There's people that are encompassed by evil, and they'll want to make you feel like they're not evil. And I promise you, to this day, when you die and go to heaven, and if I'm wrong, you can punch me in the side, because I'll be there too, that the evilest men that ended up walking this earth were those that we thought were in sheep's clothing. And I think it's just worth questioning things.
100%. And you look at what like our leaders are saying, right? Even about this issue. We were talking about it, Mike Huckabee with Tucker Carlson, essentially saying that it would be fine if they took it all. And he's referring to
Speaking Greater Israel.
Yeah, Nile to
Which again is all of Iraq, the entire country of Iraq.
Once again, okay, as Christian, like that involves mass murder and conquest. And then we have Ted Cruz also with Tucker Carlson basically saying that we're biblically commanded to support Israel, and that he got into politics. Have you heard this? To support Israel. Now let's just, we got to pause there.
In Congress.
He got into American politics to support another country.
Yeah, put any other country's
based
name
off
in
his
that blank.
Christian beliefs.
Put any other country in that blank, and we're like, that makes zero sense.
Yeah.
Based off his Christian beliefs, which is even crazier.
Yeah.
What?
This is crazy. I might have saw this on like social media, and it can be fact checked, but the IDF, that's the Israeli soldiers.
Israeli Defense Force.
Okay.
Yeah.
Didn't they like put like a new branding that had not just
new.
Israel, and it's like multiple countries on there too?
Correct. It's their right shoulder patch, which often you'll only see their left shoulder patch. The right shoulder patch has an emblem of Greater Israel.
Wow.
And it's not new.
It's nuts.
Wow. So I think the natural kind of next step here is, okay, we've gone through all this. What is this Christian support actually supporting? What is going on in Israel? So that people know, where is this support going? I have a couple just quick facts here, but I'd love to, I'm sure you know a lot as well. So since October 2023, and this is according to Gaza health authorities, but they've also been accepted by Israeli intelligence services and the UN, 72,500 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza. UNICEF says that more than 21,000 children have been killed, more than 44,000 injured, and UNICEF themselves have said it continues to happen despite the ceasefire. A classified IDF database estimated that approximately 83% of all confirmed dead were civilians. There's a public health letter in The Lancet that said that the number could be much closer to 186,000 when you include the people buried beneath the rubble and all the indirect deaths from collapsed infrastructure like hospitals, food supply, and clean water. The recent U.S.-Israeli military operation against Iran opened with what? A bombing of a school that killed 156 people, 120 of which were schoolgirls. None of them were combatants. The U.S. got into this war because of Israel, and I'm not just saying that because I'm conspiracy theorist. Joe Kent, our former head of national counterterrorism, said, Iran posed no imminent threat to our nation, and it is clear that we started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby. There are so many other examples. Look at what Marco Rubio has said. But this is what this Christian Zionism is supporting. And the question then has to be, would Jesus support any of this? Especially in the land that he did his ministry?
No.
Absolutely not.
There's no room for it.
And so it's like, then why is there so much support? Why as Christians are we told that we're anti-Semitic or we're conspiracy theorists if we say, hey guys, let's slow our roll on supporting this? Because this is just 5 facts. There's so much more mass death and violence and horror happening where Jesus did his ministry. Like, I know I'm getting worked up, but
let me throw you one even further, because a lot would say that the reason civilians had died is because they were being used as human shields against Hamas.
Yes.
All right, so let's unpack that. All right, so you have a country at this point where they're in Gaza. The strip is, for those who don't know, is on oceanfront. That's why it's going to make the greatest hotel resort and 5-star casino you've ever seen.
It's demonic. That is demonic.
I even felt bad joking on that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They don't have any port access. Nothing comes in and out. They don't have airports. They've been bombed. They don't have any form of infrastructure to import anything. Mm-hmm. How does Hamas receive their weaponry? How are they digging these incredible tunnels? How are they bombing people? How are they infiltrating Israeli intelligence? How are they doing all these things across multiple fronts? Not just even there. How are they doing this? Where'd they get their money? And there's no real flat source. It just came from the rubble. I find that interesting. And then you watch a documentary called The BB Files. And then you sit down and listen to past defense ministers of Israel, former executive prime ministers of Israel, people like the Ehud Baraks, who said, Bibi was giving Hamas money. He was feeding it to them through a Qatarian government deal so that it wasn't coming straight from Israel.
And more mainstream, the Guardian has reported on this.
It's been reported pretty heavily at this point. You won't hear it talked about. And you sound like a wacko for saying it, like, he's a conspiracy theorist. No, Bibi wanted to, quote unquote, control the height of the flame by giving enough reason to attack, to take out people and infrastructure so they could come back and rebuild in their next step toward greater Israel. That is all they were doing. They funded them in suitcases of cash over a 2-year span of over $1 billion. $1 billion.
Is that there's a source for that?
Yes.
$1 billion?
It's in that same documentary from the same government officials.
Oh my God.
These are government officials. These aren't just regular civilians, wackos, anything like that. These are people who are in the rooms. One of the people in the documentary was his former campaign manager. And you look at the people who are his campaign managers, and they're funded by the Ron Lauders of the world, who run Estee Lauder, who are heavy in the files, by the way. And see who he's connected to. I mentioned Ehud Barak. He was his defense minister. Heavy in the files. Visited his New York home 36 times. So you start getting connected to like, okay, this is evil. I'm going to look into the people that are creating the evil. And you're like, a lot of these people that created this evil are dastardly close to this list, if not directly involved in it. It's no wonder they don't want us talking about it. No wonder it's a taboo subject. No wonder. Because they want us to forget about pedophilia and weapons trafficking and druggings and murders and transhuman. I mean, you can get as wild as you want in it. And then you look at historical text and you're like, contextually, a lot of these make sense. A lot of these can be verified. And then you're like, okay, so what's being done? And it's nothing. And as a Christian, that infuriates me.
Right. And I guess the question has to be, if any other country was causing this much mass civilian death, would you see Christians supporting it?
Well, I'll push back on that statement only because it's not Israel that causes the most death. America causes the most worldwide death. Mm-hmm. America is the world murder machine. Mm-hmm. And that's statistically backed in every direction. Mm-hmm. We've caused the most deaths of Christians in world history. America. Mm. But we're a Christian nation.
Really? We've caused the most?
Our tax dollars go to a military industrial system that's been bombing people for, I actually have a list of wars. Go figure. If I can find it. I mean, I think since World War I, the year before, 1913, the institution of our Federal Reserve, which was put in place so the bankers could finance war. That's why 7 months later, World War I started. We used that to fund war with the House of Morgan, which is what we know as J.P. Morgan, into a war that industrialized our economy. War benefits us big time. Not just the private contractors, it's a business. The Great Depression happened largely because of speculation after World War I that we were going to be great and everything was going to be honky-dory. But then there weren't enough jobs to go around, unemployment started spiking, stocks started collapsing, banks started getting run on. Then World War II pops back around like, business opportunity. We've been at the war game ever since. Yeah. We've murdered, and I don't want to just level it to Christians. We've murdered millions and millions. And here, I'll Google it, what the actual number is.
Yeah.
I had it offhand, but no, continue. But America, in my opinion, is the core issue with the violence.
Interesting. Yeah, that's good. But, with an ideology like this, I think it's important to pose that question of what makes this unique to where Christians in any other place would be calling this out and saying we need to stand up against this because Christ would.
So first, from historical context, estimate that there was about 60 to 100 million deaths from the two wars of World War I and World War II. 60 to 100 million.
And you're saying all that's our fault?
That's, in context, I mean, when you talk, I think the Holocaust number is 4 million. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an insanely large number. And we did, because actually when we entered World War I, Britain and France were running out of money. Our banks financed the continuation of the war.
I see what you're saying. So
we benefited financially.
Gotcha.
And that's where
you're not saying we directly killed all these
bankers.
People. Yes.
The American financial system
financed all of this death and destruction.
Yes.
Okay.
And also then passed the debt off by creating war bonds to hold the debtor not to be them, but to be us. And
the taxpayer.
Go figure. It's
oh my goodness.
And the estimate based off total and percentage of the earth is somewhere between 3 and 4 million Christians over that time period. Total number since then, the military of the United States has been responsible for an estimated of over 12 million deaths, including civilians.
Yeah.
I'm as American as they come, but what the heck? Right? I just don't. Right. I don't feel comfy with that stat.
Yeah. And then the other question here, which I think you're getting at, is, okay, what about the Christians in these areas? What about let's support our fellow Christians in these places. There are Christians in Palestine. There are Christians in Iran. There are Christians in Israel. How are they treated? So I have a couple stats for this as well. I already read the thing about 10% down to 2%. You're dialed. National Catholic Reporter reported Bethlehem and nearby villages were 86% Christian in 1950. Now only 12%.
In Bethlehem?
Yes.
Wow.
In 2025, only 6,000 permits were issued for roughly 50,000 West Bank Christians to attend Easter in Jerusalem. In 2026, access tightened further when Cardinal Pier Battista Pizzaballa, the Latin Patriarch of Jerusalem, he was blocked from entering the Church of the Holy Sepulchre for the first time in what he claims centuries. AP describes Lebanon as having the largest proportion of Christians in the Arab world and reported thousands of Lebanese Christians spent Easter displaced from their ancestral homes and churches because of this conflict with Israel for the first time in their lifetimes. The Times of Israel reported an IDF soldier smashed a statue of Jesus. Everyone thought that this was AI. It's not. With a sledgehammer in southern Lebanon, while another soldier photographed it and then posted it. The Rossing Center documented 155 anti-Christian incidents in Israel in 2025, including 61 physical attacks on individuals and 52 plus attacks on church properties. So the question here once again is, shouldn't we care about the Christians in these areas? And why do we not?
Because it's not put in front of us, honestly.
Why?
Well, do you remember when Ray Rice was in the NFL?
Yes.
Running back, Ravens.
Yeah, the incident?
Yeah, the incident, right? So here's how it played out, roughly.
This is a crazy rabbit hole.
So listen, we'll get back.
That's amazing. You're connecting this to my question?
We'll get back.
Oh, let's go.
Yeah. Bro. So the reason it's not put in front of us, so what happened was Ray Rice, he was at, I believe, a hotel with, I think it was his fiance, not even his girlfriend, and reports had come out from the hotel the next morning that he had punched his wife in the face. And people were like, whoa, that's crazy. And so for about a week or so, it made some headlines. It was talked about in the sports world. And I believe the NFL ended up coming down with either a 4 or 6 game suspension. It was within days of that ruling being held that video released from the hotel of what happened. And though the definition of what was told to us is real, he punched her in the face, we saw a video of him as a grown professional athlete socking his wife in the face, falling flat on the ground, lifeless, unconscious at the moment of contact with the ground, and then him stepping over her to get out of the elevator, cold, angry. And then within 2 weeks, he was banned for the rest of the year, and his career would kind of fall off from there. The reason they don't show us is because if they showed us, we'd care. We connect with seeing it. And when we don't see it, we don't care. That's what I think it is, to be honest with you. I mean, the bombing in Beirut that happened just 2 weeks ago, South Lebanon. There was I believe it was 2,700 deaths in 10 minutes of attacks. For perspective, there were 752 deaths on 9/11. So 9/11 happened. We don't care. In South Lebanon, with, just as you said, the highest ratio of Christians in the Arab nations. And we don't care because we don't see it. We're not told about it. And it takes weirdos like me to scour the internet and keep tabs on stuff to make sure that we know it.
And the point you're making is that that's intentional. We are not seeing this because they don't want us to see this.
1,000%. The mass media is controlled. I mean, the same guy who just bought TikTok is the same guy that now owns CNN, Paramount, MTV. You look down the list. I mean, freaking Animal Planet is like under the same management of either an Oracle or some form of entertainment oligarch that, yeah, they want us to stay entertained. Why would a media, and this is going to sound like conspiratorial, but why would a media genre business, the business that's based off of you putting your attention into what they're crafting for you, why would you let them see the scary things? Let's let them see enough scary things that they're scared enough to just obey with what we're saying, but don't show them enough that they're not just going to fall into our entertainment. And so I think they're not going to show you enough to make you not to fall out of line with that entertainment, in my opinion. And media is just so divided. It's so divisional. It's so like, you got to be angry at this person. You got to be angry at that person. If it's not an immigrant, it's a political party. If it's not a political party, it's a gender, or what is a gender, and all these things we could argue about philosophically for days that matter. But the like I said, it's like almost getting mad at the blackjack table when you're in the casino.
Now, playing devil's advocate,
Please.
for those who are listening, they might go, yeah, but Zach, like, Israel is defending itself against a bunch of nations that are terrorizing them, and they're just trying to defend themselves. What would you say to that?
I would ask them why Israel is one of the coolest places to go to. Like, everyone loves Tel Aviv. It's the chillest place on the planet. One of my best boys, he's Jewish, and he tells me all about like how awesome Israel is. If they're being terrorized, why is everything so good? Why is everything so
Because
good?
they're protecting themselves so well around the neighboring
With
nations.
what? The mysterious golden dome?
The Iron Dome.
I don't know, man.
I'm bringing up objections I'm sure people are going to have.
The objection that I would have to it is they're mainly on the offensive. Find me the article that shows that South Lebanon was threatening Israel before just 2 weeks ago. Find me the article that shows that Iran shot the first bullet. I believe it was us. Show me in a lot of these wars, when you go to the 6-Day War, when you go to the Yom Kippur War, when you go back to the bombing of the Camp David Hotel, when you go to the USS Liberty, like, I would argue that
That's a great rabbit hole.
they're often not on the defensive side, and more than historically, I'd say the majority of the time, at least historically, would be defined as the offensive. And a lot of what happened on October 7th, this is going to sound crazy, but it was retaliatory. They've been subjected and treated not like humans for decades. Their parents for decades. And in a world where America, we're like, buck up, pick yourself up by the bootstraps, and don't let anyone do that to you. You're worth living, right? Don't let anyone bully you or put you down. But we expect people on the other side of the country to do just that. It's not American, it's not Christian, and I think it's because we don't get shown, so we don't see it and we don't know. Just like you said earlier, like, go to that other country, go look, talk to people. My buddy was in France the other day. He said the way that people talk about Americans is crazy. And it's not because we're nuts or they just hate our freedom or whatever we get told. It's because of X and Y, Z reasons. They lay out logic. It's like, shoot.
He's got a good point.
Yeah, these are fantastic. Oui, great job.
Another thing people say is Israel they're the only democracy in the Middle East.
No.
They are a bastion of Judeo-Christian values, and we need to stick up for that because they're the only democracy.
They're the only free country in the middle, in the other side of the world, right?
Right.
What's Poland? What's Denmark?
How about just in the Middle East when people say that? Well, we got to support them because they're the only democracy.
I would say that what we do as a country, democracy is defined as a grouping of people that are represented by duly elected officials that do the bidding of the voice of the people they represent. And I would argue that they're not doing that. So our own democracy is kind of fried. So why are we trying to bring a fried system somewhere else or support that fried system somewhere else? And what does that have to do with freedom at all? What about freedom of speech, freedom of religion? What about the freedom from having to be locked into this mainstream media cycle? What about those freedoms? What about the Western societies to get more in depth in the freedom of learning about who they are, like philosophically, and like they get in depth with who they are and meditation and, like it, hate it, indifferent. There's other ways of life on this planet, and us being they do it that way, so they must be right, because that's how we do it, is kind of weird, to be honest with you, to say, we're bringing them freedom. Well, every time that we get attacked or something happens, we have a little bit of our freedom taken from us. The Patriot Act, they said, we're going to look at all your data. When did that happen? A month after 9/11. They said, we got to find the terrorists. After the great financial crisis, they said, hey, we're going to invent this thing called money printing, quantitative easing. Don't worry, you're going to love it. 10 years later, everything got super inflated. Look where we're at now. Just after that, Citizens United passed when we were pushing for banks not to get bailouts. Citizens United rips away all of our rights by making money speech, and all the billionaire oligarchs invest all their money in the politicians. Why? Because they get favors. And I think the whole democracy angles requires like in any experiment, we have to have like the example. We have to have the anchor in the experiment. And if you're going to use the logic of, they're a democracy, so we have to support them, it's the best. Well, ours needs to be something that's willing to be duplicated, or it's reprehensible what a lot of it's done to a lot of parts of our country. It's not exactly a model.
Yeah.
I guess would be portions of my argument. But that could be like a whole 2-hour discussion right there, honestly.
And this touches the same thing of, if these things were happening in any other part of the world, would Christians be so overwhelming to support? Like, they have free abortions in Israel. Free abortions. They're about to host the largest pride parade in the history of the entire Middle East.
On, I believe, one of the major sites in the Bible.
Right, which is like, talk about spiritual warfare. But once again, would we, as a country, you have the right to do whatever you want. I'm just saying, Christians who are listening, why should you endorse that? You wouldn't in any other nation. So nothing should make Israel unique. That gets to the whole Judeo-Christian values thing. There's been this grouping that might kind of be somewhat of a contradiction, right? Because modern Judaism, I think I even heard you say this on one of your clips. Modern Judaism was founded the day Jesus got up off that cross and came back. And then they had to come up with the arguments of what happened to the body. Well, they stole it, but that's when modern Judaism started, right? Because he was the fulfillment, like we said from earlier, he was the fulfillment.
Right. And that's where I went earlier when I misheard you. I was like, there's no room for debate. Like, what we're talking about.
Right.
For the person who's watching this, it's just like, okay, like they need to see stuff to actually like understand and see like this is actually happening. Like I think Tommy G recently came out a video about the West Bank, and I think it was this video where I'm combining two, where he's talking about like the way that Christians were treated and like spit on Christians and stuff like that. Like, is there any sources or YouTubers that you would recommend for people to watch so they can actually books that people can actually see this stuff happening?
For what specific topic?
I don't know, just like the way that Christians are being treated, because I feel like a lot of Christians are going to be watching this who support Israel and they don't see how Christians are being treated in other countries.
Mm-hmm.
I think the BB Files is a good documentary, but guys, I'm going to give you a really whack answer. The Bible, man. Like, literally getting into the word and understanding it, not just for what's said on a pulpit, but really like deep diving it. What words mean, where they came from, why it was said this way, who's this person? He's mentioned once. It seems like a nuance, but it's actually very poetic, the reason he was mentioned. Like, the more you get into it, the more you fall in love with it, because you can see it's clearly inspired. It's divine in the way that it's connected in every direction. The way that things that we still debate about today on how to approach them, Jesus handled in the moment. It's really crazy just looking at it from that philosophical perspective of how he lived. If we got all on that same page of loving our neighbor, we would be repulsed by any murder. Yeah. We'd be repulsed by it. And then if you get into, I'm trying to think of like a good specific book or text. I mean, it's not like it's widely talked about or printed or made into these Netflix documentaries because they don't want us to talk about it. Yeah, so that's why like something like the BB Files I think would be a good start.
The Occupation of the American Mind.
There you go.
Is a documentary. Tucker Carlson, love him or hate him, he's interviewed a lot of Christian pastors and like clerics who live in Israel or who live in that area. Those are phenomenal. The Israel Lobby by John Mersheimer. I mean,
I haven't seen that one.
It's a book.
Okay.
It's he basically explains how we basically do another country's bidding politically. It's much more political. It's not as much as the Christian, specific question, but it's just a large topic and it takes a lot of time to like. We've done I think an okay job of covering a lot of ground,
bro.
But this is just the surface of like.
Whitney Webb has a book, One Nation Under Blackmail. It's a
phenomenal
2-book series. It's
One
good.
Nation Under Blackmail.
Extremely well sourced, well vetted, good book.
Yeah. I guess before we close this bit out, I just wanted to kind of ask, for those who are watching, who maybe for the first time are hearing any of this, and they're just like, what? What would you say to the person who's kind of shocked or maybe even put off or like, there's no way this is true. To the Christian specifically listening.
I think there's only 2 different paths. It's either going to be you're feeling like you're fighting against, in a way, you want to defend against a lot of the things probably being talked about. I'd ask you to recognize that feeling and ask where it stems from. Because a lot of times our emotional reactions are just that. They're chemical reactions in our brain flooded from other experiences in life. So, okay, why is that happening? And you think something's vehemently wrong, I would offer you the opportunity to research it. But there's another person who maybe hits this, and this isn't the first time they've been introduced, and they're like, wow, I'm not nuts. Like this is holy cow. What I'd offer that person is go touch grass. Go walk, go in nature, meditate, read, go analog. Like, surrender. Like, stop fighting, surrender. Because at the bottom of it, you're going to find that a lot of what you called your identity was some form of ego attachment for some other vindication of something else or to fulfill something else. Like, we're all looking for feels. Want to feel good, want to be happy. Like, what's the pursuit of happiness, right? And the world offers many shortcuts to happiness, but the greatest happiness comes with the peace that surpasses all understanding. And that's the one where we are surrendered to the life He created. The whole reason we're on this floating marble in the middle of space is because He created it. You think that all these crazy things are going to hold you back? Like, you got to just dive into the systems He created. I've fallen out of love with a lot of the systems we've created, so I'm rolling back into what He created. I'm farming. I got chickens. I'm going on walks. Me and my wife are great. Me and my daughter never been closer. Awesome. Like, we're always close, but now I'm like locked in bad last 4 or 5 years. Like, it's having a kid scared me, man. I had a kid young too, so I think.
How old were you?
I was 25, but still like just getting the career started. Like, there was so much pressure, but I felt like I had to do so much grinding that I didn't get to focus in, and now it's just been focused in.
Man, that is such a unique answer. I thought you were going to go somewhere completely different, but you're basically saying like, this is all crazy. And what I wouldn't say is obsess over it. I would actually say, no, go out and enjoy nature, enjoy God's creation.
Yes.
Pray.
The thing I've struggled with is I'm so competitive and I just love to compete. And when a competing thought comes into my life, I want to have a tug of war with it. But oftentimes I realize like I'm doing tug of war with the truth. The truth is somewhere. I just need to find it. I'm playing tug of war with a wall. And so I've just started to try to get better at putting down the rope. Again, surrender. And just being okay with being wrong. I've been wrong several times in the last 4 or 5 years, and I've learned more. And then I find out, this is the truth. Oh, that leads me here. Disconnect. We're living in a modern time right now that is unlike anything even close to 100 years ago. Like, you were made to literally hunt and collect berries on this planet. And now you're behind a screen 8 hours a day. What? It's nuts. So I would say, honestly, just disconnecting and getting back to who you are, because that's where the value is. God created you, and you have the ability to spread that love, spread that peace. But I don't believe Christ came to start a religion. I believe he came and told us to love our neighbor and surrender to what he had already created.
I'm so glad you said that. One of my friends, he recently got introduced to all this like a few months ago. It's when the files came out. It kind of just gave people other gateways into all of this. And he said he started going crazy. Like he just shared this recently. He started going crazy. He was losing sleep. He was spending like 12 hours a day just like scrolling on all these reels, TikToks, YouTube videos, just diving deep, reading all these different files. And it wasn't until he confessed that the other people started walking the light, and then he limited his screen time and just started like being in nature more, and like literally exactly what you're saying, and involving himself in community. That's when things started to turn around. And honestly, his relationship with God and his marriage started to flourish even more. So it's just like, that's such great advice. And I'm so glad. And I hope all these people who are probably watching this or are going to start go into this little rabbit hole, I hope that they just do the same thing and they can take that advice and run with it.
There's just a level to it that, again, when you realize you're living in the house, that there's a bit of pettiness to arguing with the person sitting at the table with you, or the dealer, or the manager, or even being mad about the other tables, or why you don't care about my tables. Like, you're all in the same house. Chill out. Go outside, take a walk.
Yeah. And as dark as it gets, and this is the thesis, it should be of all three, of everybody's life, is that Jesus already won.
Yep.
He already won.
Can I put one asterisk next to that?
Please do.
Because this is what I hear so often, brother. Oh, when times are crazy and dark and people don't want to look at the darkness in the eyes and they truly follow Christ, what is oftentimes the response from that person?
Is it what I just said?
That's not what I hear as often as I hear, don't worry, Christ is coming back. I feel like that's a very poor excuse to live the life he put you on this timeline for. You're specifically here. You're here for a reason. You're here to be a purpose and fulfillment to God's creation. So if you're in a time where you think it's too dark to even look at and you just want to keep to yourself, you want to just bank on Christ coming back, you're right. He won. But now you live through, or he lives through you.
Right.
It's not a call to sit back.
Very true. Right. Yeah. I think it gets more to what you were saying about the my identity thing. A lot of people can find, maybe this guy found his identity in, I need to find out what, and the identity ultimately should be in Christ because he already won. But what do you do with that?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
There you go.
Exactly. Because a lot of times it ends there. Like,
Yes.
I'm saved, wait till death, Christ is coming back. You know, it's like, I don't think that's it.
Yeah.
Right. Man, that's awesome. Well, dude, thank you so much for tackling this behemoth of an issue with us.
Literally.
Thank you for having the space for us, guys.
If you're okay with it, we end all of our shows with just a little bit of just banter. Because the name is Bread and Banter for this podcast.
Hallelujah.
So we do a little bit of banter. I know we've been bantering the whole time, but given that I was doing too much research on this episode, Michael had some stuff we can just quickly rip through.
Cool. Some like off the topic topics?
Yeah. It's
or
like
on the topic.
So like usually we'll have like someone will send in like a funny story or just like a crazy event. We don't have that today, but we want to try something different. There's a trend that's kind of started. You might have seen it or not. It's called scripture or cap. So basically you say a scripture or it could be something like a song lyric or a random quote and you have to guess whether or not.
Is it an actual verse in the Bible?
Yeah.
Is that what we're about to do?
Yeah.
Okay.
So if you guys want to do this, you guys can compete against each other.
Let's do it.
Come on.
There's 10 questions and I'll just kind of go back and forth.
This is new. Let's do it.
Can you keep track on who? Sure. Okay.
Don't worry. I will.
You just say you're competitive.
No, you're gonna cook me. You're gonna cook me.
I don't think so.
No. We'll start with Zach. Okay. Hate the sin, love the sinner. Scripture or cap?
Cap.
Yeah, cap. Muhammad Gandhi.
Okay. Solid quote.
No, literally. And it's thrown around so much. Okay.
This is me?
Yeah. Quote 2. This too shall pass.
Cap.
Okay. Yeah. Correct. Okay. Yeah. 3. Comparison is the thief of all joy.
Oh, cap.
Cap. Okay. Yeah. Y'all are good at this.
These are tight ones though.
Okay. Give a man a fish and he will eat for a day.
Cap.
Are these all fake verses?
Every single one's not real.
Okay. If any, no. Let your yes be yeses and your no be no.
Yes.
Scripture, Matthew 5:37.
Bang.
Come on.
Don't hit me with Matthew.
That's it. That's it. Come on, bro.
If any man is hungry, let him eat at home.
This is some weird Deuteronomy.
Oh, dude. I was with everything until at home. Read it one more time.
If any man is hungry, let him eat at home.
Can I ask a question? Is this the full verse? If it is a verse, you can lie.
I think there's a little more.
Okay, so
Okay,
this
so
is like
this
a
is a
snippet
part of
of
a
a
verse.
verse,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah,
You're
okay.
killing me.
Yeah, man, context is gone from the conversation.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, facts. We don't have sources anymore for any of this stuff.
Here, let me see. Maybe
Just
I'm
randomly
gonna
add
say,
in.
let him eat at home, dude.
it sounds like he's trying to throw you off.
It does.
It sounds
does.
like it might be a verse just because he's trying to throw you off.
But you could be trying to throw me off because you're Mr. Competitive. Come on. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say that's cat.
Hey, got it!
It's 1 Corinthians 11:34. Yeah, I saw that one. I was like, this is gonna cook one of them. Okay.
Did you know that? Brother.
Okay, this is the next one. If a
Trying to
man,
put you under stress.
if a man is hungry, feed him.
Verbatim? Or just in context? I mean,
Yeah, this is they don't matter.
verbatim? If a man is hungry, feed him?
Yeah. Wait, let me look up the verse. Oh,
Ooh.
See, now I'm getting sabotaged.
Now we have
See,
to
now
pass.
the house is playing games
We
with me.
have to pass.
okay. We're passing.
Come
Okay. Next one. Then. A feast is made for laughter. Wine makes life merry, and money is the answer for everything.
Who's this asking me? Is that to him?
This is
Oh
mine.
yeah, this is yours.
It's cap. There's no chance.
No
that's in the
way.
Bible.
Let me double check it.
If you tell me there's a verse that
Let me
says
double check
money
it.
is the answer to everything, I'm becoming Hindu. On the spot.
Yeah, is that what he said? Money is the
He
answer.
said
to
the money
everything?
is the answer to everything.
Just want to double check it. Ecclesiastes 10:19.
Read it.
Okay, but that's him talking about how he hates money. Read the.
Bread is made for laughter, and wine gladdens life, and money answers everything.
What's the verse before it?
Through sloth, the roof sinks in, and through indolence, the house leaks.
Through indulgence, and that he's talking about what people think.
Hey, there's no
That's part of the game. That's part of the
Dang it,
game.
you gave me an out of context verse.
I feel like that's the beauty of the game.
Only one verse back is like, yeah, all this sucks.
Okay,
Here it
there's
is.
a few more.
Oh, we're tied up now.
Yep.
The cave you fear to enter holds the treasure you seek.
Cap.
Cap. That's a great quote.
Joseph Campbell. The tongue
Campbell's.
holds the power of life and death.
Tongue?
Holds the power of life and
I
death.
think it says has the power to build and take down. I'm going to say cap.
Scripture. Proverbs 18:21.
Damn, I thought it was...
Okay, there's two more.
Oh my goodness.
What blocks the way becomes the way.
Cap. Jesus.
Cap. Last one. There is a friend who sticks closer than a brother.
Cap.
Bro, what are you doing?
All right, guys.
That was
He
clearly
said,
very.
I'm done.
No, I'm deuced. Dang it, man.
Andres
Oh,
is the
hey,
winner.
hey.
I didn't even think too heavy about it. I already lost.
Dang,
I
bro.
already lost.
Hey, that was a good game.
Good game.
It was a good game.
brother.
Okay, you had the Delaware stuff possibly, but
Oh yeah, I gotta. It's not really a bone to pick, but people say this in Delaware. Only people who are from Delaware would probably care about this. The term slower, lower.
Mm-hmm.
You're in the lower section, right? We're in the upper section right now. I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm just kind of wondering, where do you think that comes from?
Government propaganda.
Oh, really? It's government propaganda.
I think we're slowly turning slower, lower Delaware into a retirement hub. And I think it's a really good branding slogan.
Really? You think it's a branding slogan?
so interesting.
I don't
To just kind of make
I
people
don't
think that
know.
nothing's going on in there?
I'm not saying it wasn't organic, but its push and its cult-like following, I think, gives us a vibe that actually you don't really feel down south anymore. You know, you go down Route 1 into the beaches, it's just house, neighborhood, business. Like, it's not really that. Like, if you're talking lower, slower, like you down in Laurel, like, okay, yeah, we still got that.
Shout out all my Laurel homies, bro.
But oftentimes I see the LSD next to the Salt Life, so I don't think that's the case. I would normally see FFA if that was not the case. So I don't know. I don't.
You would disagree with that
I
statement?
don't think it's a slur.
I'm not saying I agree
I don't
with it.
care if you call me that, but
Yeah, he called you that.
No,
he
that's
did.
not true.
I heard
That's
him
not
say
true.
it. I heard him
I
say
mean,
it.
Under his breath.
I heard
no,
him say it.
he got humbled in the Bible quote, and that's fine. But I don't hold that against him in any way. Okay.
The brother in Christ. I love it.
Amen, brother.
Amen, brother.
What else? Oh, Scrapple. It sucks, right?
Terrible.
Terrific.
Awful.
You know when you look it
I
up-
hate that we're so prideful about that.
Bro, you look up the most famous food from Delaware. It's Scrapple.
That's so crazy.
It's
it looks
disgusting.
like
Floor-picked pig innards is what it should be called.
Yeah, bro. Like if someone asks you, like, "Hey, what's Delaware most known for?" What are you saying typically?
Beaches. Beaches, probably. You know, Wilmington, this area is nice. It's a whole different vibe. I always feel like I've just entered a sliver of New Jersey when I get above the canal.
Really?
It's like a whole different vibe. Absolutely. Because you go through like MOT.
Yep.
A lot of building, a lot of construction. You get some random Wawas, like when you pass Middletown, like it's like just residential weirdness.
Yeah.
Then you get into Kent County, nothing. Smyrna, Dover, Camden, Felton. I was raised in Felton. Nothing. Milford kind of starts where things are growing and going.
Okay.
And then you get into Milton, Millsboro, you start getting some cool stuff. And then, of course, you got the beaches. The beaches are the reason people are moving here. The beaches are the reason people vacation here. It's the reason we get like 10 million cars over that overpass into Lewis every year. It's our hub. I mean, if we didn't have the beaches, I don't know what the Southern economy would look like. Because you guys really benefit off of a couple things. You have the medical infrastructure, biotech infrastructure, and you get so many people that come to live here. I know because I've sold them homes that work in Philly and work in Jersey. Right. They just come here for taxing reasons. I don't know if there's a big calling card for Delaware outside of that.
Yeah.
And it's affordable.
It's affordable. The guy who created the Heimlich, we said this before, is from Delaware. So like put some respect on our state.
Okay.
Bro. We got that. We had Joe Biden. He fell off a bike.
He did indeed fall off a bike.
So we interviewed the governor and he told us that after that happened, he was riding on a bike and he fell in a park and someone saw him and went, "You should run for president." Top tier banter. That's good
hilarious.
stuff.
That guy was ready. He knew who the governor was, already knew the context, nailed him.
Bang.
That's great. I haven't had any experience like with talking with anybody who knew or worked with Biden, other than I think Sarah McBride was a part of.
She was my graduation speaker.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, that's another one where it's like, you know, sometimes like 90% of what they stand for is like, okay, I can rock with that. And then the other 10% is like,
Hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah. Why is so much money involved in this? Like, this doesn't have to do with beliefs at all.
Yeah, dude, I think that's the Delaware banter I got. I said this earlier before we started rolling. It's so cool to meet somebody who's from Delaware who's doing big things. Because I feel like we don't got a lot of people.
Yeah,
so you're the man for coming. Like we offered to come down here, you'd be like, "No, I'll come up to Wilmington." So
what was your heart behind that? Like, I feel like I met other influencers in the space who like they just wouldn't drive an hour to do this. They're like, "No, you're coming to me." Blah blah blah. All this stuff.
I really enjoy it. Like the selfish nature of me. I enjoy conversation. I enjoy connecting with people. I think the more people that hear the kind of stuff that we're talking about, the better off society will be in the future. So it's kind of like the same feeling I got when I was in the military, honestly. It's a very similar feeling to what I felt in Afghanistan, like the pride and the virtue. Like I feel like I'm really doing something for the country, even at a minuscule level.
That's awesome.
Like 2 people, 2,000, 2 million, like it doesn't matter. It's another potential soul for Christ. It's another person who could be kinder hearted to their neighbor. It's another person who could just exemplify Christ's steps a bit better, just as we're all trying to do.
I love that.
So I'm also not a big anti-driver. I'll listen to a good podcast.
Driving's the best, bro.
I'm a weirdo. I'll drive in silence sometimes.
All right. Okay.
Yeah, you're a psychopath.
Or a little orchestral music. 9.1.
Okay.
91.1.
Yeah. Have you really just completely no sound driving?
The mind is an interesting place.
It's terrifying at times.
You want to know the best thing to do? Start working out without your headphones.
Oh, dude, that's on hard mode, bro. That's exercising on hard mode.
I'll tell you what hard mode is. I just knocked this out. I was proud of it. We flew to Colorado. My wife had a vacation.
Nothing.
Nothing.
Just the seat back pocket.
Nothing.
How long's that flight?
I think it was like 6 hours. 5 hours maybe.
So why are you doing that? Do you just think you're like better than us, or like what's the?
No, I think I'm nothing.
What is the? You just wanted to test yourself?
Yeah.
I love that. I love people like the mental toughness, just building that up.
Get in the cold bath because it's cold.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
I need more of that.
We live in
more of that.
comfort. And man, I can't tell you how much more I enjoy just the casual conversations on the porch with my wife when I've had a day that wasn't constantly filled with dopamine seeking.
That's a really good point.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I talked about earlier, like literally staring at the wall. I mean that. I've done that. I mean that.
Imagine walking in on him.
He's just like,
Or in the morning, like I'll just sit on the porch.
Yeah.
And it's so foreign to our generation. I mean, everybody listens probably like, duh. But like just to sit on the porch and listen to the birds and look at the trees, and like I'm watching every day as the leaves are growing in, like that's crazy. Like I have no clue how that works. Like just notice the little things more because your brain is bored and it's gonna look for them. But
That's really good.
You know, we keep feeding it to like, it's like our phone's like a refrigerator now. We just keep opening it. Nothing's changing.
It's constant input. And
then we don't learn who we are. Like we have such a complex brain. This thing between our ears, we're never gonna see. We're never gonna get to touch it. But it's more complex than any iPhone you've ever put in your hand. Never needs to get charged, never needs to get replaced, never needs to tune up. And it's like water and electricity floating right behind your eyeballs, which are like little cameras for it. It's just like the deeper you go into it, you're like, what? I want to learn about it. It's the operating system of me.
That's good.
I don't want the brain to hold me. I want to hold the brain.
Yeah. That's awesome. I love the videos you make when you are out on like your porch or whatever. Because you hear the birds and stuff in the video. I'm like, this guy's living life on the porch right now.
The chickens, it's nice.
Where can people check you out for those who are curious and want to see more?
You can shoot me an email. You can say hi there. No, I'm joking.
Don't send him an email.
I know there's a couple people say, all right, say it now. Say it slow. Zachary Loft on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. And then we got our show, our podcast that we do on YouTube and Spotify, Zach Foust Show. And we do a group podcast called Cabin Fever. So,
and you're launching soon a new one with your wife?
Yes. There's 2 that are being launched in the next quarter. One is our Whiteboard Breakdown YouTube channel. Yeah, we've been focusing and noticing a lot of people really connect with when we're using the whiteboard, and I enjoy it. Part of me growing up wanted to be a teacher, so I was like, this is cool.
Both my parents are teachers.
Right, that's dope. I love that. Awesome. But they don't make any money, so
can't go there.
Real estate makes way more. The calling for it, I enjoy it, and yeah, me and my wife are starting a white collar true crime channel because we noticed there's a lot of true crime podcasts, and there's a lot of people talk government corruption, but no one's like melded it. So. She was a true crime junkie. I like government corruption.
Nice. Yeah.
Good combo.
Two peas in a pod. Which is what we should call the podcast. Come on!
2 peas in a pod.
Definitely already taken.
100 million%. Well, dude, thank you so much for joining us. I had a blast. I hope you guys learned a lot. Check Zach out and like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Hit the bell.
Hit the bell. We will catch you in the next episode. Peace.
Cool.
Dude, you're the man.
Great job,
so
guys.
much fun.
No,
That's electric.
Y'all nailed it. Y'all killed it. Great stuff. Great.